This is Walt Disney. I would like to welcome all of you to the Park Streamers Hangout tonight. Bob, Danny, and Cordy are dear friends, and I know they have an amazing podcast for you. So thanks for joining us tonight, and enjoy the show.
Well, welcome everyone, kids, dreamers, and jammers. How are you tonight? We're excited to bring you another Park Streamers Hangout tonight, and we have a great show for all of you because we have some special guests that are joining us, as well as some great topics that we'll be talking about regarding Tiana's, and then obviously we'll talk about some holiday stuff coming your way to the theme parks. But before we get started, let's go ahead and introduce our other hosts here. So Cordy in California, right below me here. Can you tell us where everyone can find you?
Yes, you can find me on YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, and Instagram, Cordy in California. I always have to think about it.
I have to think about that. What is that? And I'm also on, okay, there we go. All right. And Theme Park Casual, would you like to tell everyone where they can find you?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube, X, and Instagram, all of them at Theme Park Casual.
All right, great. And everyone, you can find me at BarryPlays28 on YouTube, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook. So come join us and join the fun when we're out there streaming in the parks. But tonight, we do have some really special guests. This is something that Theme Park Casual, Cordy in California, and myself have been wanting to do for several months now. We actually wanted to see if we could do it before the haunt season started, and we weren't able to do it. But graciously enough, we have several scare actors that are going to join us tonight from Knott's Scary Farm, as well as from Santa Ana Haunt and Six Flags. So we're excited to bring them aboard and introduce all of them to you. So with no further delay, we have Glow joining us tonight. We also have Joey, and we have Kevin, who all are scare actors at different places. And we're excited to have you. So welcome, everyone, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes,
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So obviously, being a scare actor, there's a lot to it. And there's a lot of things that I think we don't really think about that you guys have to go through in preparing for being an actor, for doing what you do, all the makeup and all that stuff. So we've actually come up with a few questions tonight for all of you that we'd like to go through so that people can get to know you a little bit more as well. But before we do that, I forgot to mention, can we actually say hi to everyone in the chat? Because we forgot to do that earlier. So
yeah, we can say hi to everybody. We've got Chad Pritchard, Tom F., Peyton Edwards, Zomembies, Mike, Donald's fan, Jennifer Beausoleil, Jada Jade, Haunted Mermaid, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Pirate, Trish, you're cracking me up. Shelly Mendez. Who else we got in here?
Journey with Me 3.
Journey with Me, Alyssa Stenberg.
Dasher of Disney, Donald and Dasher's fan.
Christy PH Disney. Good golly, we got a bunch of you guys in here. Good to see you all. Buddy Hepburn.
Jennifer's in.
Christina Holmes.
Christina.
Jetta Jade.
Jingle bells. Jingly bells.
Holly
like
is
that.
in the chat. Carol G falls back. Welcome in. Moki Schmoky. Everybody saying hi. Awesome to see you guys. And don't forget to hit the like button. Share the stream out. We are growing the channel little by little. We are on the road to 500 subscribers. And you guys could help us get us there with just sharing the stream out to your friends who are theme park and that sort of, if they're into that kind of thing, just share it out for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And, so for our guests, we've been doing the show for probably, a year and a few months now.
Yeah.
But we were doing it all separately on our own channels. And so back in July, we finally created just one channel so that everyone could just be on one location, which is kind of cool. So that's why we're doing the show from the Park Streamers Hangout page now. And we're trying to build up those subscribers to get where all of us are at right now, which are in the thousands of subscribers. So welcome, everyone. And thank you for joining us tonight. First of all, I'd like to just have you guys introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about, tell us who you are and a little bit about yourselves. And then we'll go into the questions. So let's start with ladies first. Glow, would you like to introduce yourself and tell everyone your name, where you work, and maybe where they can find you?
Okay, well, my name is Glow, and I have been working at Knott's Scary Farm for 23 seasons. During the year, you can still find me at the park. I am a scenic painter, so that pretty much means I paint all of the shows, stages, set pieces, photo ops, and of course the mazes. Pretty much all year round, I'm working on Haunt. My life kind of revolves around Haunt in a very strange way. So right now I'm in this weird, like, decompressing. So I'm finally getting a break, which has been kind of nice. But yeah, you can find me online on Instagram. I am at Poison Glow.
Sounds good. All right. And Joey, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Joey. I was a scare actor formerly at Not Scary Farm for 3 seasons, and I just did my first season over at Fright Fest. You can still find me at Knott's. I still work there for the daytime operations. You can find me running around, playing with the characters, or you can also find me doing some of the entertainment events over at Six Flags. And then you can find me at creepy_catawampus.
Oh, I like that.
Catawampus.
That's cool. Catawampus. That is cool. And you got the creepy in there. That's what's weird. Awesome. All right. Thank you, Joey. And Kevin, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi. So this is my second year scare acting. I did Shocktoberfest last year at the Queen Mary. This was my rookie year at Knott's. I just got my rookie hat.
Nice.
Prior to this, I've also scared with Santa Ana Haunt. And prior to even that, I was also a concert photographer. And I got bit by the bug of scare acting. So here I am. And you can just find me on Instagram at Camera Guy Kev, camera with a K.
Very cool.
Very
All
cool.
right. Well, yeah, actually, you know what? Before we get into the questions, I think that maybe we should actually let Cordy start off tonight, ladies first, with some of those awesome questions and whatnot. But again, thank you for being here. I think we'll also ask some of the people in the chat if they have any questions for you at the very end when we're done with everything. So we may do that. And again, you guys are more than welcome to stay the whole show or just stay for this segment. So Cordy, why don't you go ahead and ask your questions?
Sure. Okay, so I have 3 questions, and I think just to kind of make it easy, maybe we can go Kevin, Joey, Glow, and then like Joe, Glow. I don't know if that to me it made it easy. So
Make it easy now.
The question is, what inspired you to become a scare actor?
Oh, sorry, is it my turn?
Oh yeah, sorry. See, it wasn't.
Okay. So I actually, my first time scare acting was actually just, I knew someone, his name's Chewy, who runs Santa Ana Haunt from my concert photography days. He has a side business doing lighting for concerts, and he does an amazing job with everything. And he actually would work with a friend of mine, and I was venting to her. I'm like, I'm kind of getting tired of photography, kind of getting tired of, this scene. I'm kind of looking for a new creative outlet. And she gave me this number. She's like, hey, my friend is building a maze. Why don't you come on through and scare act and try that out, because you love horror movies and stuff like that. So I text him, or I had this number to my phone, and I already had it in my contacts. It was Chewy. And so I was like, hey, is this the Chewy that I know? And he's like, yeah, what's up, man? I'm like, oh, yeah, a friend of mine told me that, you were looking for scare actors. I would love to try it out. So he's like, yeah, let's do this. Like, come on through. Like, let's have some fun. And I ended up doing an event with Chewy at Santa Ana Haunt. He did a collaboration with a underground rave in LA, and it was like you go through a haunted house, and when you get out of it, you end up in a rave. So it was a fun gig, 3 days of fun, and I just got bit by the bug. And someone had told me, like, hey, Shocktoberfest is hiring if you want to keep doing this. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm down, I'll apply. And I ended up becoming a shapeshifter there, which is essentially a fill-in where every night, one night you're a pirate, next night you're a pumpkin, next night you're a clown. And I got to work every maze, and I've kept going with it ever since.
Wonderful. Joey, for you, what inspired you to become a scare actor?
So, ironically, what inspired me to do it was going to Scary Farm. The first time I went was back in 2015 when the Deadly Seven was a thing. And my dad took me, and my dad had a friend who was a part of the Deadly Seven, so we went specifically to look for them because I had wanted to go for like a couple years at that point. I was 13 at that point, and I just remember walking through Ghost Town and just seeing that windmill at the end of the street, and I heard my first slider hit the floor, and I was like, yeah, I want to do this. I want to do this. This is cool. And from there, same thing as Kevin, like I got bit by that bug and I was like, I'm gonna do this. I don't care how I have to do this. I'm going to do this.
That's awesome.
Nice.
I love these stories. And Glow, for you,
So my
inspired
story
you?
is pretty funny considering I always liked the event. It was never something that I thought I would ever do. When I got hired, I actually went with a friend who was applying, and I just kind of went with her as like moral support. I was not looking to get hired at Knott's. I was not looking for a job. I was going to school. It wasn't anywhere on my radar. And she kind of persuaded me to apply. So I did. And I was just going to work for regular Knott's. And then they were like, hey, well, we have these seasonal jobs open too. Like, do you want to try that out? I was like, yeah, okay, I'll try it. So I actually started as a blackout in one of the mazes. And so basically, you know, I'm just hanging out, making sure that, you know, nothing's happening to the actors and making sure the guests are behaving, stuff like that. I ended up getting to know a lot of the people in the maze, and just watching them scare people just inspired something inside of me where I was like, I kind of want to try that. That looks like fun. Growing up, I always loved horror. My mom hated it, so it made me love it more. So I ended up coming back, and it's really interesting. A lot of those people I met my first year, I kind of have carried through my whole haunt career. And even though most of them have retired now, we still keep in touch.
Awesome. Wow.
Very cool.
I love these stories. I love hearing how people kind of pick something up that you like carried on for, you know, for a long time now. So this one we can go Joey first. How long does it take to get into character, makeup, costuming, etc.?
So it really depends on where you're at. Back when I was in Forsaken Lake at Knott, it took me about, I want to say, 30 minutes to get ready, because you would clock in and then 20 minutes later you would be in the makeup chair getting your face on. And that alone only took about 20 minutes because the makeup artists at Knott are so efficient and so fast. They have all these other looks they have to get through. So you get in the chair, they get you done, they get you out. And then getting the costume on. The costume I had was very intricate. It had a corset, top hat, it had these pants, this blouse that had capes on it. And that alone maybe took like 5 minutes to put on if I was rushing, but if I was taking my time, it would take like 10. At Six Flags, it took a little bit longer because they use these full face prosthetics on all of their walk around street talents. So you'd be in the makeup chair for 45 minutes to an hour, getting turned into a monster, and then you would like go put on your costume. And so the process over there took an hour, where at Knott's it took around 30 minutes to get ready.
Okay. And Glow, for you.
A lot of what I'm about to share with you is pretty much the same as what Joey just said to you. Yeah, basically everyone, once you get in, if you are makeup, it's usually like a 20-minute period to kind of go and like prep yourself to get into the makeup chair. And for myself, my makeup artist also, she was amazing. She got everything done within the 20 minutes, maybe 25, depending on if we were talking too much. All the makeup artists there are amazing. They're so versatile. Everybody knows how to do everything. So it's really cool. But from there, yeah, I have to get in my costume, which is not the most comfortable thing in the world. Usually when we start haunt, it's like super, super hot still. And my dress is super thick polyester, and it's high neck and zips up the back, and it's got these overly poofed out sleeves. Like, it is not fun. So I usually end up walking around backstage with my dress unzipped, trying to get everything else on. I usually do like my own like eyelashes and my lipstick, and then I have to do my hair, and then putting that veil on that I wear is probably my least favorite part because it never stays on very well. So that usually alone takes me like 10 minutes to get it to sit correctly, but I get it done.
You never know because it doesn't look like it. It always looks like, well, yeah. See, this is the cool stuff to find out though, because we see you guys in the park and we say hi and all that stuff, but we don't get to see what it's like to have the costume put on, the makeup and all that stuff. So wow, that's really cool. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, this is awesome. And Kevin, I know you kind of worked at a couple of different places. So what's your experience like with it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I got pretty lucky this year at Knott's because my costume I was covered head to toe, with a mask. Most people don't know this, but even when you wear a mask, you have to put black makeup around your eyes or mouth, anything that's invisible. This mask had me completely covered, so I didn't have to worry about makeup. It was just a mask, a ski mask underneath with a bandana to catch my sweat, and a cloak, and then I pretty much just wore a black t-shirt, black jeans, black shoes. So I would pretty much just check in, get my costume, throw it in my haunt box, roll it to the maze. 15 minutes before we went on, just popped everything on and ran in. But I do know, like working Santa Ana haunt and stuff, I have to kind of take care of myself, and that can take me, because I'm not the best at makeup, it could take me like an hour and a half to get ready. Especially at this year at Santa Ana haunt, I was wearing long press-on nails. Actually, you can see only one of my hands is painted black right now. My first night, I did both hands, and I just couldn't do anything. I had to be like, can you guys please help me put my phone in my pocket, because I can't even reach in. And yeah, so like then I was back for the last night. I only did one hand because I was like, okay, I can make it do with at least one hand, But yeah, it really depends on what the character is. But when I know working Santa Ana haunt, I take forever. I always like, how early can I get through the door? Because it's going to take me a minute. Shacktoberfest, when I was there, was pretty speedy. We were, because I was a shapeshifter, picked last. Like, we were kind of like, okay, this is who's here. This is how many spots we need to fill in each maze. And then we were pretty much like a prison lineup. Like, we would line up against the wall. And it was funny because the coordinators were already in their costume to scare as well. So here came the pirate guy. He's like, all right, I need you, and you. And you're like, all right, cool. Go get this costume. All right. Then here comes the clown guy. He's like, all right, I need you and you. Like, all right, cool. And then here comes the pumpkin guy. All right, I need you, And with us, we were pretty speedy. It was just like, all right, we've taken care of most of the makeup for the day. So, we can do makeup on a couple of you guys, and the rest of you guys can wear masks, So it was pretty cool to be flexible, because there were some nights that I was, oh, it's a little colder, I'll go with the mask, just make my life easier. And then some days it was like, oh, I want to do makeup because, I want to go all out, and it's, So it was cool to have that choice at Shacktober.
Wonderful.
We were actually getting some people in the chat that wanted to see what he looked like at Knott.
Oh,
so I believe
good.
Oh, yeah.
Is this one of your photos right there?
Yeah. So yeah, that costume was covered head to toe.
Oh,
And
yeah.
this-
Yeah.
Actually, one of my scary tactics was actually to stand completely still, and about 75% of the time they thought I was a mannequin because no part of my body was visible.
Wow.
Yeah, I was going to say, if anybody in the chat went to Not Scary Farm this year, so that was Chilling Chambers.
Yeah.
So you may have seen the guardian of the chambers in
Oh,
there.
yeah. I was right at the exit too, so I was popping off on everybody.
Uh-huh.
And I have, do you want me to?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So my last question is, and we'll go to Glow first for this. Do you have any superstitions or things you always do or don't do before a show or, a night of haunt?
Honestly, this is going to sound really funny, and I always tell people this. I kind of just flip it on and off. So there's nothing specific that I do or don't do. A lot of times I kind of laugh about it, where I can just be having a normal conversation with somebody, and as soon as I walk through that door, everything just flips, and I just pop right into character. And a lot of people ask me, like, what are you thinking about when you're scaring? And it's really funny because I had to think about that. And I was like, sometimes I'm thinking about, do I need to stop and put gas in my car on the way home? Like, it's so
That's hilarious.
It literally goes into autopilot that it's just so easy for me. Like there's no like ritual or anything that I do besides maybe listen to music.
Okay. Kevin.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same for me. I mean, since the beginning, I always was, I never knew what I was going to be every night. So, pretty much they would let me know, and I would just pop in an earbud, listen to music, and try to think, okay, what kind of character am I going to be tonight? So, for example, my vampire character at Santa Ana Haunt, I was listening to like the True Blood theme song, from Dusk Till Dawn soundtrack, because I'm like, I want to be more of like a Lost Boys, Dusk Till Dawn kind of vampire, and not like Nosferatu or Dracula. So music is a big thing, and then I just sit there and create a backstory, no matter what character I'm playing.
Awesome. And Joey.
So for me, it really depends. I'm kind of like Glow, where backstage I could just be like, "Hey, what's up?" Second that door opens and I am on stage and guests can see me, it just kind of clicks and it sets in. You just kind of go.
Mm-hmm.
Like for when I was Reaper in Forsaken, he was a very elegant character, very poised, and he would hold himself a certain way. I would be kind of walking around. And my whole thing is like, okay, just kind of stare straight forward and don't let the person over here know that you're about to sprint at them as fast as you can. And for the other character I just played, which was a monkey in the Land of Oz, there was no thoughts going through my head at all. It was just, okay, I'm going to now start jumping on top of this car and start spinning. And then half the time I'd be like, how much money do I have in my bank account? Like, can I get dinner after this? Or do I have to get gas?
Wow.
Like, we look horrifying on the outside, but on the inside, we're focusing about, like, what we're doing for dinner later. Or, like, what are the plans? Like, are we going to go get food after this? Like, it really does depend. But I don't have any, like, superstitions. Like, the only thing that I won't do is because I very majorly grew up as a theater kid. So, like, the Scottish play or the M word, I will never say it. It doesn't matter what capacity I'm performing in. If I am performing, that word is never said or never comes out of my mouth. And if I hear anyone say it, I lose it. I'm like, no.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Nice.
All right. Well, I think we'll continue on with Theme Park Casual. I know you've got a few questions for the scare actors tonight.
It kind of goes along with what you guys have been talking about, but I'm curious, how do you sustain the energy needed for a job like this throughout the entire season? Because you guys are doing, 4 or 5 nights a week. It's hours on end. It's late nights. This sometimes, I know for some of you, it's not your only job. You're doing other stuff. You've got a regular. And I'm just curious, how do you guys sustain that energy? Because you guys got to be on. You guys are putting on the show. You guys make the show. So, Glow, how do you keep that going, the entire haunt season?
Well, luckily, right before haunt season, I kind of go straight from building the haunt to working the haunt. So I already have my body kind of conditioned because it's very physical, actually building everything. Pretty much going up and down ladders, walking around the park. We're up late nights. So actually, when I get into haunt, as far as being tired and stuff, yes, my body is tired going in, but I'm already so accustomed to being up late because there's nights that we stay working until like 4 a.m. And now this is kind of a break for me, leaving before midnight. So it's like, whoa, it's nice. But as far as just like the physical aspect, it is a lot. Maybe a few months before I start really hitting a lot of cardio just to make sure I'm getting that up, getting used to it again, because it is very strenuous out there. You have to really pace yourself. A lot of people don't realize that. They get really excited. They're like, oh man, I'm so excited. I'm on the streets. This is my first time. I'm, going to show everybody that I got it in me. And then by the end of the week, they're like, I don't know if I could do this anymore because they completely out of steam. So yeah, the biggest thing for me is just kind of pacing myself. But also just going into autopilot, like I don't really think about it. Like I can be backstage and be like, oh my God, I hurt. I'm so tired. As soon as I get out there, it's like, oh, I'm fine. We're good.
Awesome. Kevin, how about you?
Sorry, I'm having a little bit of lag. So yeah, I think for me it's the same thing. Just pacing myself, staying hydrated. But right before haunt.
Oh,
Oh no.
I think we lost
There we
him.
go. We
Oh,
got
there
him.
we go. He's back.
Oh, okay, sorry. Um, I'll start over, but essentially, yeah, it's just pacing yourself. And prior to this, I was a concert photographer, mainly like in the punk rock scene. So I'm already used to, having to deal with walking through the mosh pit with my, camera, having people flying at me and stuff. So I'm already pretty decently conditioned, I would hope. But yeah, during haunt, it's pretty much always just taking vitamins, keeping myself topped off, hydrated. A little bit of caffeine here and there never hurts. Um, essentially just pacing yourself and keeping yourself topped off.
Very cool. Joey, how about you? How do you keep sustained energy throughout the whole season?
So, this year in particular was really hard because my season started September 7th and I just finished last night. So, this season in particular was really hard, but for me, like, it starts like 2 months before we ever even get into the season, and it's just conditioning. It's a lot of stair climbers, it's treadmills, it's running, and especially for me this season because I was sliding for the first time and I had to pace myself because at the end of the evening I was doing a 15-minute slider stunt show and that would take me out. So I had to conserve my energy scare wise for this show that I was doing at the end of the evening, but I had to find a very happy medium in the middle. So it would be like go, 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 like rest and kind of just stop and just kind of exist in the shadows, just squat, stare people down, and then go, 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 go. It was like let yourself refill a little bit, and then you go again. But same thing as Kevin said. Caffeine is really good and it helps, but it is not the best. I also would like chug a ton of water and like a protein shake before I would ever head out onto the street. But back when I was in Forsaken, I kind of would do the same thing, but I also did a really bad thing. I would do like a Monster Energy drink and a Hershey bar. That would be what would get me through the entire evening. That would be like my, that was my go juice. And it worked, and somehow I survived that season. So
Nice. All right. Here's a quick question. What's your favorite part and what's your least favorite part of being a scare actor? Kevin, let's go with you first.
Sorry, I'm still getting a little bit of lag. Can you repeat the question?
What's your favorite part and what's your least favorite part of being a scare actor?
Okay. My favorite part is definitely the rush I get when I get a really good scare on somebody. I think that definitely keeps me going, and the fact that I made someone's night, especially when I get a scare on like one member of a group and the rest of the group is just like sitting there like laughing and like dying of laughter of watching their friend screaming their faces off. And I think my least favorite part of it is we only get to do it for about a month and a half every year.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Joey, what about you?
So my favorite part of the job definitely comes from the interactions on stage and backstage. Like backstage, you get to meet all these amazing people. You get to meet all these amazing friends who, for a lot of cases, you'll have for like the rest of your life. Because haunt, no matter where you do it, is a family. It is a family, bottom line. The worst part about it is unfortunately those onstage interactions where guests think it's funny to try to mess with the monster or try to scare the monster who is just trying to do their job and give you the best possible show that they can give you. And in some cases, those interactions can either make or break your night. But at the end of the day, we do it because we care. We want to give you guys a good show, and that's why we keep coming back.
Awesome. Glow, what about you? What's your favorite and least favorite part of the job?
My favorite part, honestly, has always been the fact of I feel kind of this weird control when I'm scaring. I feel like I can control somebody's emotions. And it's a really weird thing when you hear it that way, but it is something that you do control. And I think what I really like best is that I can make somebody scream. I can make them laugh. I can, like you're saying, you can make somebody laugh at their friend. It's just interesting and also like just really enjoyable to be able to watch people enjoy what you do. So for me, that's probably my favorite part about it. But like Joey was saying, there is a lot that we endure that I don't think people realize. Just because you paid to come into the park doesn't give you the right to come and scream in my face. It doesn't give you the right to hit me or anybody else.
Ooh.
I don't come to your day job and scream at you while you're trying to do your job at your desk. Like, you got to think of it that way. If you wouldn't do this to someone walking down the street, what gives you the right to do it to them in their workplace?
Does that happen often, by the way?
I've always preached, and it's really, really bothersome to me to watch it. I luckily don't have too many of those interactions, but I do constantly keep an eye on everybody around me because I do not tolerate that. Like, I might not go and physically, put my hands on somebody, but I will make myself known and let them know just with my eyes that that's not okay. So
interesting. Yeah, I've always wondered about that because
the board, no matter where you work, and unfortunately, like no matter how much you try to stop it, people just keep doing it.
Yeah, I've always wondered about that because you guys are it's a very interactive thing that you guys do, and it's one of those things where, like you said, the emotions can kind of go off the charts really quick, and dealing with, you never know how somebody's going to react, and it could be very, very scary, I would think, at times. So it's also
very confusing because when you think about it, like a lot of these people, clearly they signed up for this. They bought the ticket. They went online. They watched videos. If they've read their ticket, which most people don't do anymore, they know what they're going to get when they walk in that park. So the second you walk in that park, you're now agreeing. You are like signing a contract, and you coming in doesn't give you the right to just do whatever you want. It's really frustrating sometimes.
Yeah, so if you guys are out there, please don't mess with the monsters. Let them have their fun to putting on the show and enjoy it from a safe, proper distance. Everyone. All right, and then here's a kind of an interesting question. I don't even know if it's something that you guys are if it's something that can really be done. But if you were told you need to be a new character in a different maze or scare zone or whatever. If you could create it however you like, what kind of a character would you be? Joey, we'll start with you.
Ooh, okay, that's interesting. Because obviously I've taken off, I've searched out new endeavors, but if I had to play a brand new character, like right now, like today, I would absolutely love to do Ghost Town at some point. I would love to come back and do Ghost Town. And it's funny because I always wanted to do like a can dancer character just because I've never seen one of those run through the park. So I think that would be really fun. Or I would love to go to G20 because I love The Great Gatsby. I just love the time period. I love the music. So just getting to like exist in an area like that, just in general, it doesn't matter as what, but just existing in an area that's just so lively and dead at the same time would be so much fun. So that's probably what I would want to do.
Okay. Glow, how about you?
Well, in my 23 years of working at Scary Farm, I've definitely been quite a few different characters, and I feel that I've gotten a taste of a little bit of everything. to be honest, at this point, I think I would like to just be something that just flies under the radar and nobody recognizes at this point. I love the recognition I get. I love it. But sometimes it does get a little overwhelming where I just want to go out there and scare sometimes. And it's hard. Sometimes it gets really hard because I do have a lot of people who will come and they want to interact. And unfortunately, like I can't break character. As much as I want to stop and take the picture and, you know, do stuff like that, it's really hard. So for me, I think just going somewhere completely different where nobody knows who I am, maybe even trying a mask. I've never worn a mask in my entire time working. I would maybe want to try that and maybe nobody would know who I am. Throw me in a maze, throw me in a street zone. I really don't care where I am. I feel like no matter what character, no matter what place you put me in, the reason why I'm doing it is because I'm passionate about the event and scaring. So I'm not really particular to whether I'm in a maze or on streets. So honestly, I'm pretty open.
Okay. How about you, Kevin? What kind of character would you like to portray?
You know, it's funny because I've been asked that too. Now that they're like, "Oh, it's your first year. What do you want to do when you come back at Knott's?" And I think for me, I just like characters that you can play a multitude of different ways because you can just constantly evolve and change and kind of ebb and flow. Like, I'm trying to like find a way to understand it, but I always like versatile characters where, you know, if I want to be scary, I can come at you and really scare you. But then also if I decide, you know what, you know, a group of like 8-year-olds are coming through, let me be funny and silly and, oh, am I still there? Okay.
Yeah, we hear you.
You know, let me be funny. Yeah. Sorry. It keeps telling me like I'm losing network. Yeah. So like I've had, you know, like groups of like 8 to 10-year-olds coming through my maze, and sometimes I want to be silly too and play it up and give them a good memory. You know, and so I think for me, I like versatility, and the type of character doesn't really matter to me as long as I can have a wide range of ways to play it.
Okay, very cool. Well, those are my questions. I think we can go over to Barry Place now if you'd like to get yours in there.
Sure. But before we do that, we've had a lot of people join in the chat. So let's go back and welcome those who have joined. Do you guys mind going back through the list again real
Sure.
quick?
Yeah, we got Naomi Bayardo. Welcome.
Oh, go ahead. We're just going back and forth.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I think we'll go way back, but Mr. Most Wanted, Alan Smithy, welcome in. Let's see who else. Izzo's Place, welcome in, my friend.
Yeah. Do we say Shelly Mendez? Hello.
Yeah, she's in here.
We got John Way and John E. And then I saw Judy in here earlier, Judy Jingly Bells. Christina H., welcome.
We're already starting to get those Christmas ones. We did. I know for our guests, a lot of our viewers as well as ourselves, like I was Scary Place 28 instead of Barry Place 28 during the Halloween. So everyone's changing their name, and now they're starting to go to like the Christmas stuff. You got Dasher of Disney, which is kind of cool, and Judy Jingle Bells. So it's kind of cool. I love how everyone kind of changed name based on the season. Very, very cool.
Oh,
all right.
Boy.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure Kevin will be right back. But by the way, Glow, going back to you real quick, because you're talking about the characters that you've played and everything. One of the things I love about going through Knott's Scary Farm is that you'll go through a maze, something like maybe let's say Chilling Chambers, and then you see yourself as a nurse up on the TV screen or something like that from a past year or something like that. And you go through Calico, Origins, the Curse of Calico, and then the lantern will set off that video where you're behind the coffin and you show up as the bride and stuff. And I think that's so cool, and obviously talks to the fact that you have been at Knott's Scary Farm for so many years. But that's what's really cool, is being able to see some of the things you've done in the past that are still showing up today at the park. So just wanted to bring that out, because some of you may or may not see that while you're going through the park. All right, so we got Kevin back. Yay! So I know Kevin, you were playing at Santa Ana Haunt, as well as you're playing at Knott's Scary Farm. What inspires you about the characters that you play at these different haunts?
I think for me, it's At Knott's this year, the character they gave me was definitely a learning experience because this character was very Wraith-like, very Michael Myers-esque, where it was just popping out of people, getting the scare, and then slinking back into the shadows.
Hmm.
Versus my characters at Santa Ana Haunt, I like to give them, because I build my own characters, they'll say, oh yeah, we just need a vampire, go wild. So I get to play my character. I'm like, you know what? Like I mentioned earlier, I want to be a mix of like Lost Boys and From Dusk Till Dawn kind of vampire, and I can play it my way. It's my baby. Versus at Knott's, it's like this is the role that they gave me that I have to live up to, and let me see how I can do that. And it's I definitely really like the variety.
Yeah, I will say when we went to Santa Ana Haunt, it was really cool because you were the last scare actor that everyone would see at the Santa Ana Haunt. And I remember I turned the corner and I'm like, oh, I just have to go down this last corridor. And then all of a sudden you're there and you're like, stop. And I'm like, wait, what are we waiting for? And my wife and I were there and I'm like, okay, I don't know what we're supposed to be doing. And all of a sudden you would just rush towards us and, the music would go loud and the lights would, flicker. And you're like, oh, okay, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. I thought you were going to stay where you're at. I didn't expect to do that. So that was a lot of fun and really cool. And so kudos to you for creating that character and really making it, the last really cool scare part of the Santa Ana Haunt. So.
Oh yeah, thank you. That was a lot of fun too, especially Santa Ana Haunt. I mean, they are always finding new ways to make their mazes bigger and better and crazier. And they're like, yeah, there's an effect right here. Go nuts. Do whatever you want to do or don't use it at all. So it's just fun. They really gave us those toys to play with. And that night I was like, yeah. And the reason why I was going like this to everybody is because people were meeting me halfway in the hallway, just like running through. And I'm like, no, wait, hold on for the effect. Hold on. So I had to improvise, and I'm like, okay, like, how can I tell people to wait without being like, hold on, let me do my thing. All right, trigger the thing, and then come at you. And it was just more like, no, wait, you're in my domain now. Like, So that was a really fun night, and I'm glad I was able to come back, last night as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, thank you. And Joey, obviously you weren't at Not Scary Farm this year, but you're at Six Flags. But what inspired you about the character that you played over at Six Flags?
So what really inspired me about this character was, it was a character from The Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz was like my movie growing up. So when I got offered to play a character from that series, just in general, I lit up, and it was nearly impossible for me to turn it down. And I just couldn't help but wonder, can I do this? Because when I was working at Knott, everyone had gotten so accustomed to seeing me as the Reaper. And that's what people saw when they saw just human me. They would see Reaper. And I was like, I don't want to get stuck in one character because I feel like I can do more. And I want to show other people that I can do more than just be the pretty monster that floats around. So getting to play this aggressive, like, off the wall, like, no thought, just go character was so fun for me. And what really inspired it was I watched a lot, and I mean a lot, of monkey videos leading up to that.
Wow.
And like down to the sounds they make, down to how they moved, how they crawled. And then I don't know why I thought this was a good idea. I used literally nothing that I saw from the movies, but I watched Planet of the Apes, and I thought that would be a great idea for research on how to move as a monkey character. But hey, it was still something. It was still something. But I got a lot of inspiration from watching The Wizard of Oz, and then watching monkey videos, and then essentially watching Planet of the Apes.
Wow. And that's awesome that you guys take the time to do that research and try to, create those characters and shape them. So thank you, Joey. And Glow, what inspires you to be the bride? And This is Lilith the bride, by the way.
That's kind of a hard one. Honestly, when I was given this opportunity to be the character, I absolutely did not want it at all whatsoever, because the person who played it for many, many years before I did was my absolute favorite character in the entire park. So, you know, being there, watching her doing everything she did, and I was always completely in awe of her. I was like, there's no freaking way that I can ever compare to this. So when I did get the opportunity to do it, I thought to myself, like, I don't want to copy what she did. If I'm going to do this, I have to make it my own. But I try to kind of play an homage to her with some of the things that she did. So there is very slight, subtle things that I will do that I remember she used to do. But I am much more aggressive, which has kind of been something that I've done in all of my characters. Something else that kind of inspires my character is I'm a giant Haunted Mansion fan. I actually used to work at Disney for a very long time. I used to work at the Haunted Mansion for 13 years. So, of course, my favorite was the bride, and not just the bride that we have now. I'm going to be honest with you, I hate Constance. It's definitely the Beating Heart bride with her candle. Like, that's for me. That's it, hands down. So I took little bits of things that I really loved and I kind of threw it all together. So my bride's inspired by the old bride, and pretty much all of the characters that I've played up to this point, I've kind of just culminated all of them into one.
Gotcha. And speaking of which, because you said you used to work at Disneyland at the Haunted Mansion, I believe you used to work with our very own Haunted Mermaid, who's here in the chat today. And it's funny because if it wasn't for Haunted Mermaid, I don't think she was the one that said, you got to go see my friend. She works at Not Scary Farm. She's the bride. And we're like, oh, okay. And of course, you know, me and Cordy and Theme Park Casual last year, we're like, we got to find her. And then we try to track her down and get some photos. And, you know, I know what you were saying earlier is that, you know, you can't always stop and take photos. And in fact, it was funny because I saw you last Wednesday. I was like, hey, Glow. And you totally running away from me. I'm like, okay, bye. Like, no worries.
See, I hate that though, because it's like, I wish I can be like, hey, by the way, like, come follow me, or like, you know, something like that. But this year, the thing that was kind of cool is I did have my own meet and greets. So I did have an opportunity to take all the pictures that, you know, guests wanted to take, and getting to interact with guests. But it was hard for me to be like, hey, by the way, 8:45, meet me in the front. So it was one of those things where people had to actually look at the show schedule, and it was listed on there.
You know what's funny though, to bring that up real quick. So one night I was like, you know what, I need to go find out when you were going to be there as well as anyone else that was at the front. And so I went up there and I'm like, okay, it says 8:45, where are they? I don't know. I asked another cast member. They're like, or not cast member, employee, and they're like, I have no idea. You know, the witch was just here. I'm like, yeah, I saw the witch, but I was looking for the bride and maybe some other people from Calico. And they're like, well, we have no idea. No one showed up that night. And I was like, okay, well, guess what? It probably was your day off, but I was like, okay, well, that was kind of weird because it says right here they're in the front, and no one showed up.
My days off, usually they did send somebody else up there. I wonder if they forgot. Which is a bummer. I'm sorry for that.
Oh, that's okay. But it was funny because, and you were gracious, obviously. And it's so funny because my daughter was like, go find her, get your picture with her and stuff like that. And I think the first time I finally did find you, because I will tell you, it's actually difficult trying to find you sometimes, because I'd be walking through Ghost Town. I walk through Ghost Town like 3 or 4 times in a row. And I'm like, where the heck did she go? You know, but there's such a big area that you could cover, because sometimes you would, you know, come out of the fog by Ghost Rider there and then come back. Sometimes you're, you know, over by, you know, the, you know, Birdcage Theater, or, you know, down by the candy store or whatever. But I think when I saw you last week, you just gotten off a break and you're coming out of that area by the Birdcage Theater. I'm like, I'm going to follow her. And then you kept running. I'm like, okay, I'm going to follow. Never mind. I'll just.
I was probably being chased by other people. That's what happens a lot. So I'll just keep running.
Oh, no, actually, the funny thing was you're being chased by me. So I guess it was something. Maybe it was over that night. I don't know. But it was really cool and fun. But the thing is, you guys always stay in character. That's what I really admire about you guys, is that the way you guys stay in character, and you really don't break that character whatsoever. I mean, Kevin, even with you, when I saw you at Santa Ana Haunt, you know, you stayed in character the whole entire time. You never laughed or anything, even though I was like, kind of, especially after I went through, you know, second time, I was expecting you to do what you did. And so I kind of laughed, and you never broke character once. And then, of course, Glow, you never, it's like you constantly are, you know, just in character, and you go from one person to the next. And more than anything, I have fun just watching you scare people, which is really, really cool. So,
Thank you.
and Joey, I wish I could have seen you, this year, obviously, even though you're over at Six Flags. But Joey, let's start with you. So, I know you guys have kind of talked about what's the one of the worst things that's kind of happened to you. So, what's the coolest thing that's ever happened to you as a scare actor?
Oh gosh. I think the coolest thing that ever happened was my first year ever working the haunt. I was working in Mesmer Sideshow of the Mind, and I was in that really weird clock hallway where it's tilted, and there's that grandfather clock at the end that comes at you.
Oh, yeah.
There was a point in our first season where that grandfather clock derailed and fell. And so we couldn't use it. And that was my character's entire scare, was that clock. So I had to learn how to utilize this narrow hallway to scare people. There was a moment where I grabbed the clock and I go to do a back bend, and it's Jamie Lee Curtis walking at me. And I just kind of stopped. I was like, I stopped. I stared at her. I just bowed. I was like, ma'am, you run from Michael Myers. I can't scare you. Just keep walking. Keep walking. I can't scare you. You fight Michael Myers. That was the coolest thing ever. And I went behind the clock and I lifted my mask up. I was like, oh, that just happened. That's probably one of the coolest things that's ever happened to me. And it happened during my very first year. And that happened within the first 3 weeks of the haunt being open. I was like, this can't be topped. This can't be done. And I've had some really cool moments. I've had some really sweet interactions, but that's something that has always stuck with me.
Very cool. That's awesome. And Glow, what about you? What's one of the coolest things that's ever happened to you?
That's a really hard one for me because there's a whole lot of years to think about. I've definitely gotten a chance to meet a whole lot of people, and a lot of them I don't think I would have ever met if it wasn't for the event. I can think back to when my very first year actually as a scare actor. I hate that word, by the way. I'm so sorry.
What do you prefer?
Bayou. This was 2001. And this is when they used to still use Rob Zombie's music in the park. Well, Rob Zombie had parked his limo pretty much right behind where Blood Bayou was, which is now pretty much what Grimoire is. And I got to meet him and Sherry Moon. They were walking back to their limo. And I was just standing there and I was kind of starstruck because I'm just a huge fan of him. But I'm working at Disney. You learn to just kind of treat, everyone as the same. So I just kind of was looking oh my God, that's so cool. And he actually came over and was like, hi, how's it going? And I was just oh my God, this guy is so cool. He's so normal and just so down to earth. He was not anything like you might think a celebrity would be like. And that will always be something that I remember.
It's funny. I was there one night this season, and one of my friends was like, hey, did you see Rob Zombie tonight? I'm like, no. I'm looking the whole night. I spent kind of looking around, never saw him. But yeah, it's always cool to hear that. But I think, and I was just looking for it, I couldn't find it, but I think didn't you just meet Sarah Michelle Gellar too?
I did, yeah.
Most recent haunt, and I was looking for that picture, but I guess I couldn't find it. I'm not sure. You've got several different Instagrams, so
I do.
But that's really cool too. I thought that was neat that you actually had a photo with her, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Hello.
That was actually really exciting. Cool. I was like, who am I taking a picture with? Oh my God.
Yeah, that is really, really cool. Kevin, what about you? What's one of the coolest things that's ever happened to you?
I think it has to be my very last scare of the 2023 season. So I was at Shacktober and I was a drill instructor, and I had just learned how to make those clacker gloves that you'll see a lot of sliders use. Mm-hmm. So it was I had made them the last week of the season because someone taught me how to do it. So I was trying them out, and they put me. I was inside the Queen Mary, and after a long hallway, and it basically would lead to a dead end where it was 2 doors that were shut, and I was around the corner, and they would get to the dead end, and I would pop out, scare them, and then open the door and be like, all right, get out of here. So I'm in there working, and It's Halloween night, the very last night of the season, and you could always hear people coming through because it was like very echoey hallway. And it was this group of girls. They were dressed very provocatively, talking, trash talking stuff like, "Oh, that wasn't scary. Oh, that wasn't scary. Oh, this was a cool idea, but it wasn't scary." So I hear them, and I'm waiting, and I'm literally sitting there with my gloves, just like, I'm ready. I'm like, I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna get them. And they're like, "Yo, this is kind of creepy. Like I'm scared now. Like this because it was a long dark hallway with like flickering lights." And this girl in the back goes, "Oh, girl, I'm not scared of nothing. Let me take over." And she comes in the front, and she's actually has her phone light on, which is a no-no in the mazes. But it didn't matter. They get to the doorway, and they're like, where are we supposed to be at? I pop out in my full-on Full Metal Jacket voice, because I was a drill instructor, or drill sergeant, come out and go, "Move it, maggots!" Bam, clacking the gloves. The girl in front, who's not scared of anything, falls backwards in her high heels, and it's four girls domino falling over each other, and they're just on the floor like, "Ah," And I got them, and I was like, I literally told them like, "I thought you weren't scared of nothing, maggots. Come on, get in the war room. Let's go. Show me your war face." And I'm opening the door, and these girls have these high heels, so it takes them a minute to get up and like reconfigure themselves. And I'm like, "Come on, move it. Come on, come on." Like I'm just yelling at them. I'm like, "Come on, I thought you were fearless warriors. Let's go. Move, 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 move." And they finally get up and they just like run away. And they still have to go through the second half of this maze. One of them dropped their phone in this whole scuffle. Not 2 minutes later comes by. I'm waiting for someone to come by so I can give them the phone to give it to them. They go, "Hey, that's it. We're done for the night. We're done for the season. It's over." And I'm sitting there like, "What? That's it?" And they're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh, I have their phone, by the way. Let me go. Can I go out front and give it to them?" They're like, "Yeah, just go for it. Just come back and get your stuff." So I come out, and they're sitting outside of the Queen Mary on a bench, still collecting their breath, like. And I come out, and they're just looking at me like, "It's the guy that just scared us." And I'm like, "Oh, hey, is this your phone?" Like, the sweetest voice ever. Like, "Is this your phone?" I think one of you girls dropped it, and they're like, Thank you, thank you." And I'm like, "No problem. Have a good, happy Halloween." And I walk back in, and they're just sitting there like, "What the hell just happened?" So yeah, it has to be my best memory so far.
That is cool. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so I just have one last question, and that is, and we'll start with Glow. So, what is your favorite maze? I know you're constantly in the scare zone, and I know that you work on some of the mazes. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But what's your favorite maze at Not Scary Farm?
Currently, or just overall?
How about both?
Wow, that's a hard one. Overall, I'm going to say my heart will always be in the asylum, especially since I worked in that maze for a few years. Currently, there are a few mazes that I have been the paint lead on, so I hold them kind of near my heart. But definitely this year, it's going to be Widows for sure. I kind of got to inspire Daniel with some ideas, and we kind of worked together on that one. So that's the one I love. Out of all the mazes this year, I feel like, well, at least for the two new ones, I feel like that one really gives you this really heavy creep factor, especially because I myself hate spiders. So
me too.
That's just one of those fears, just like clowns, spiders, stuff like that. People usually don't like those things. It was a lot of fun for me working in there for months with spiders everywhere.
I bet. And we're going to come back to that because I have a little video to show about Widows, and one that you actually were in, talking about it at the actual, the preview event. So we're going to come back to that. But Kevin, what's your favorite maze at Not Scary Farm? Or I know you worked Santa Ana Haunt, so if you have another favorite maze elsewhere, what's your favorite maze?
So I'm going to avoid the biased choice of Chilling Chambers because I work there. But that was an amazing how long it is and every little tribute they added. I actually, last night at Santa Ana Haunt, met the guy who created one of the clown characters that's in Chilling Chambers. So that was awesome. But I think my two favorites when I went as a guest, aside from Chambers, were Widows for sure, and Eight Fingers 9. I don't know, those
Mhm.
two just were a whole other ballpark to me. I love those. Um, and I would say outside of Knott's, I really liked because I was with Santana Haunt this summer at Midsummer Scream, and we did it was called Hunting Grounds, where we were all dressed up like a masquerade, but kind of like the Purge, where you're joining our secret society of we're hunters, but when you come to the door, it's like you're either the predator or the prey, and it was rigged that everyone's gonna be the prey, obviously, because we're the predators. So we're hunting you through the warehouse and stuff. And that was fun because I got to dress up in full masquerade, red devil horn mask with a red blazer and a golden knife. Um, and I think that was probably one of my favorite mazes of all time to work in, just because I could be snarky if I wanted to, like arrogant, and I was also extremely aggressive. I even slipped on the floor at one point and hit my head on a barrel, and luckily I had my mask on that took the blow. But the people coming through got so scared, like, oh my God, are you okay? Are you okay? And I got up and just went, move along. And then I was like, 3, 2, 1, and I just started chasing them out with a knife, and they're like, oh my God. And they're like, do you think he does that in front of everybody?
Oh wow.
So yeah, I think that was one of the funnest weekends I've had because that was 3 days of Midsummer, and I did 4 hours a day in there.
Very
Um,
cool.
So yeah, Knott's, Chambers, Eight Fingers 9, and Widows, and then my favorite outside of Knott's was definitely the Hunting Grounds.
All right. Well, I will tell you, Chilling Chambers is cool, but there's one scene I cannot stand in there, and that's the elephants farting. I tell you, I'm like this. I'm like running by real quick. As soon as they like fart, I'm like, phew, I'm gone. And then seriously, which is crazy. And I admire the people who were the scare actors in that maze, because literally when I walk into the front of that maze, I can smell it. And I just walked in. I'm like, I'm not even to that scene yet, and I can smell that.
Well, no, see, the funny thing about Chambers too is that we're right on the main gate. So right over the wall of Chambers is Beach Boulevard.
Right.
And all those hot dog vendors with the Baker App hot dogs with onions and bell peppers are grilling there all night selling hot dogs. So literally, it was a running gag in our backstage. Like, yeah, we're the grilled onion maze, we're the donkey dog maze, and especially me at the exit, I'm smelling that. I'm right next to the exit out, so I'm smelling hot dogs coming through, and I would literally hear people be like, "Did you fart? Is that you?" And I'm here with my mask all serious, just looking at it, I'm like, okay, I know I'm deaf, but I don't smell like deaf, And of course, they would also, those hot dog vendors would also set up right in front of the employee lot and catch us on the way out. So smelling it all night, it was so hard to not buy 3, 4 hot dogs on the way out.
Until they tell you how much they are.
Oh yeah, yes. It was $8 a piece, but they scammed me one night and charged me $10 each.
Oh. Yeah. Inflation's gone up for everything.
Oh yeah.
Well,
but I was like, you know what? It's a convenience fee because I was hungry anyways.
All right, thanks, Kevin. So Joey, obviously you worked at Knott's Scary Farm last year and this year at Six Flags. So if you have a favorite maze at Knott's, you can share that with us. Or if you have a favorite maze at Six Flags or someplace else, let us know what it is.
So my favorite maze from the past from Scary Farm, I'm split. I'm really split. It's between Tooth Fairy and Paranormal Inc. Those two mazes, I don't know what it was about them, but they were just so freaking cool. I love all things paranormal. I work at a paranormal themed escape room right now, so I'm like, I love this. This is like my favorite genre of horror. Tooth Fairy, that messed me up as a kid because that was the first year I went to Scary Farm, and that was like the last maze of the night I went through, and that maze has stuck with me for like the rest of my life. And so it's very much so a toss-up between those two. My favorite maze currently, Widows, hands down. Hands down. That maze is incredible to look at. It is. I just don't know what it is about it, but it's just so eerie. And like the actors in there this year were incredible. Like they were working just as hard as the set around them. It was so good. But my favorite maze over at Six Flags this year, I love the IPs were really cool. I really did like the IPs, but there's a maze that's up on Exile Hill called Willoughby's Resurrected, and it's your traditional like haunted mansion, and that has my heart. That maze has my heart. I'm just I loved it. I love it. I love it.
Very cool. Awesome. Thanks, Joey, for sharing. Well, we got to ask Theme Park Casual and Cordy. Cordy, what was your favorite maze this year at Not Scary Farm?
Oh my gosh, that's so hard because every night I would be like, okay, wait, no, now this one's my favorite, depending on the experience. Oh my gosh. Cinema slashers just scared me every single time. That one that one scared me a lot. And I love Grimoire too. But I love the new ones. I don't know. It's too hard. It's too hard to pick.
All right, what about you, Theme Park Casual? Oh, go ahead, Kevin.
Not to interrupt, but actually Cinema Slasher has my favorite monster in the entire park, which is the stabby popcorn tub. That will always be my favorite monster of all time.
It is cool because you're just standing there, oh, look at that popcorn. Oh, it's got a knife.
Have you guys actually seen on TikTok, I think it was the very last night, the stabby popcorn actually got to run the huge chainsaw at the very end?
Yes, I saw that.
That's my favorite video of all time.
Cool.
The most popular monster at Not Scary Farm, the popcorn bucket. I love that. I've never laughed so hard in a break room just scrolling through my phone until I got back-to-back popcorn bucket videos just going through my TikTok. I was like, you know what? Whoever you are, I hope you're having an amazing season. I hope you had a great season because that popcorn bucket made my night every time I saw a video of it.
Wow, sounds like we have a new favorite over the bride.
I love that this year it became the popcorn bucket. Before in Dark Ride, it was the chair monster that everybody loved.
Yes.
And then before that, in Trick or Treat, it was the sheet ghost monster that was forever everyone's favorite. So I like how throughout the years, there's always that one character that you don't think is going to be this huge thing that ends up being the huge thing.
Yeah, that is really cool. All right, going back to Theme Park Casual, what's your favorite? Well, I know you didn't go to Not Scary Farm this year, but
seeing the footage though, Eight Fingers 9 looked interesting to me. I'm not big on horror movies. I'm not big on the gore factor. So for me, it's like it's got to be it's got to feel like a Twilight Zone. That's how I like my mazes. In fact, The Depths was my favorite maze because it didn't rely a lot on the gore factor. It was more of just a creepiness and the special effects, and that's what I really liked. But watching some footage of Eight Fingers 9, which, number one, the name, as soon as they said the name, I was just like, that's a perfect name for a maze. I just thought that was like one of the greatest names that they ever came up with. It just sounds so cool, especially then when you hear the little rhyme with it. And then I was just like, perfect. So that one I liked it just because, like I said, it seemed more interesting than most of the mazes. But talking about Cinema Slasher, that one I got a kick out of it because of how well it not only did it bring you into the little story, but it did it like in an over the top kind of way, so that it was like blatant, and then you didn't. It was one of those things where it's like you didn't feel like you had to throw yourself into the story. You didn't have to like try to believe in the story at all. It was like, well, I just went through the movie screen, so obviously I'm in the slasher movie now. So it was just like a great setup to where you just went with it. You didn't have to do a lot of thinking as, one of the visitors. It was just like, I'm in it. You go with it right away. And I thought that was a very, very well done. I don't want to call it a gimmick, but a setup for the whole thing.
No, you were definitely immersed in that one, like, going in each theater, and then you're in the movie. And that was my second to last one. I had 2 minutes left, so I was able to get to Origins the last night. But I thought it was going to be Cinema Slasher, but just that was such a great experience to see everybody, because they were all there where the stairs are. And so you walk in and you're like, oh my gosh, they're all right here. And they all have knives and they're like, you're dead. And you have to walk through them all. And then I had an usher that followed me literally from the beginning till I left. Like through the whole maze. And he kept showing up over here and this here. It was very cool.
Since you're talking about Chilling Chambers, I love that, or not Chilling Chambers, sorry, Cinema Slasher. It's one of my favorite mazes. It was probably, even though the Depths is really my favorite maze and it went away last year, it was my new favorite maze last year. And I thought it was funny because I was going through it, and you guys are going to laugh at me for this one, but it's all horror and everything. And we get to the room where, the Cinema Slasher is, stabbing one of his victims. And I look on the wall, I'm like, Depeche Mode Violator poster. That's awesome. And everyone's like, really, Bob? We're in a horror maze, and you're talking about Depeche Mode. Sorry, Depeche Mode is my favorite band. So I was like, that is so cool. It was just kind of funny. My friends were like, whatever, dude. But I thought that was neat. It's those details that you see in the mazes that really impressed me, though, which is cool. I want to say that for my favorite mazes, obviously, I just mentioned, the Depths is one of my favorites, and I'm sad to see it leave. But when it came down to the mazes this year, and obviously I have some favorites. I mean, I love Origins. I love, Cinema Slasher. I mean, there's some really great mazes there out there, Grimoire. But this year, the two new mazes are what impressed me the most. And I was really torn because I got to be honest with you, Glow, when they announced that they were doing Widows, I kind of went, oh man, I don't like spiders. Am I going to be able to walk through this thing? I don't know. I mean, I think everyone was wondering because I don't. It's not that I have a phobia with spiders, but they're not my favorite things. So having to walk through a maze with a bunch of spiders, I was like, oh, what's going to happen here? And I got to tell you, it was really done well. It was very tasteful. I think it was it Joey saying it? That all the actors and Widows really did a great job. They weren't just there as actors. They were part of the, scenes, and it really impressed me because I wasn't sure what to expect. Now, obviously, you never like those little, filaments or, hanging down that you're, spider web, but at the same time, there was enough animatronic spiders and some really neat things I wasn't expecting that were really, really cool. And of course, as you go through the end, and I thought that was pretty amazing because I didn't expect it to have that type of ending. And it's funny because me and a lot of my streamer friends, everyone's like, kind of looked like Cap Neo at the end because, the Black Widow character looked like, the character from Cap Neo at the end there. But at the same time, she did a great job. And what I liked about it was that she was a lifelike puppet, that it wasn't like the end of Cinema Slasher where you had the big creature at the end, or even the creature in Mesmer that's, bobbing his head back and forth. This was an actual person who was acting out and doing an amazing job of acting out as the Black Widow. And I thought that was really, really cool. So that was my favorite. And I got to tell you, one of the details that really got me was when I was walking up to the front of the maze, and then all of a sudden, all the wooden boards start going clack, 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 I'm like, what the heck? And I realized the spiders underneath. And it's that those little things were really, really cool. And I really, really liked it. So that was my favorite maze. Eight Fingers 9 was a quick runner-up. I mean, every time I went through it, I had an amazing time. But those were my favorite mazes this year, especially Widows. So speaking of Widows, by the way, since Glow was talking about Widows earlier, she actually had a hand in helping create this maze, which I thought was pretty amazing. So I want to show you guys, for those of you who haven't seen it before, the video they showed at the preview night regarding Widows. So I'm going to play that for you right now.
I was thinking about ideas, and I said, it would be really cool commercial. The whole factor of medical, I think, is very disturbing to people. And when it comes to disturbing, who better than Daniel? I'm Daniel Miller, the creative designer of that story. The first issue I'm looking forward to is called Widows. Demonic spiders have burrowed through the underground to take over the living bodies of the residents of this convalescent home. There's only going to be one natural being in there, but all the rest are really spiders who are going to skin. They're going to move like spiders. They're going to act like spiders. It just gets more and more depraved as we go along. We took a lot of great detail in the painting and the propping of the house. One of my very favorite things to do is to take something really nice looking and making it look like it's completely run down, grungy, dirty. With my team, we were able to, at first, make everything look perfect, immaculate, clean. And then the fun part came along, where we had to come in and just make it look like it was old, like it's been sitting there for years and years and years. As you enter the house, you will notice that all of the walls are completely falling apart. And to me, that really sets the tone for what you're going to be encountering throughout the rest of the movie. There's going to be spider again everywhere. I've gone through several times and they said, is this enough spider again? I said, no, double. It's one of the reasons why I created this thing. Is walking around my neighborhood, I kept on getting into spiderwebs, which is really gross. I definitely want to capture that feeling of walking through spiderwebs. You'll have that several points in my maze. I have very weird things in my maze too. There's one scene where a pregnant man who's giving birth to a bunch of egg sacs, and all the spiders are pouring out from his belly. So, pretty disturbing. The kind of news gives me a lot of spiders, and I also think it kind of gets to be super creepy. And to mash those two together would make an incredibly creepy, scary maze. In fact, I've had several people when I pitched the maze tell me, I don't think I'm going to end up doing this maze. A little too much for me. I've done my job.
All right. So that was the preview that they showed that night. And I thought it was really cool. It was really great, seeing you up on screen and talk about it because, we do get to hear from Daniel and from the other, creators there. Sometimes, what it's like, building those mazes, but you get that extra in-depth look. And I just think it's so cool because you're like, yeah, we make it all nice and immaculate. And then we make it worse. We make it all crazy. And then, Daniel's talking about depraving. And I'm like, what do you mean depraving? What are you going to do? But you know what? I don't remember seeing the pregnant man with the spiders. Was that left out or did they actually have it there?
It was in the hallway. It ended up being an animatronic deal. So right when you walked in that first hallway, right after you walked out of the kitchen, the first body on your right, the stomach would like move in and out.
Oh, maybe I was running away from it. That's why I think
it was directly across from another spider that was kind of popping out of the wall, so it makes sense.
Oh, okay. Oh, gotcha. All right, now I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I thought it was cool, especially when you saw that one guy against the wall and you see the spider come out of his mouth, and you're like, whoa. Okay, I wasn't expecting that.
It was the one right before that.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Exactly. And then you walk in the next room, and you're like, "Oh, it's the demonic room." Okay. Well, what's going on here? And then it was so cool how you kind of kept going. And I wasn't sure where this maze was going, to be honest with you. But as you went further into it, you're like, "Wow, this is really neat." The people who are like on stilts, and they're like puppets. They did a great job. Everyone did a great job. But I think it was just really, really neat what you put together. And then, well, how many mazes do you think you've worked on over the years of 23 years?
A lot. Just as far as lead, like a paint lead, I think my first maze on my own was Pumpkin Eater.
That was awesome.
I did Pumpkin Eater. I've done Origins. I've done Mesmer. I've done the Depths. I did Chambers. And now I've done Widows. So those are all mazes that I've done from the very start. Just plain wood, nothing. And we've taken it and turned it into what you see now.
That's cool. And by the way, I know that Waxworks was this year, and so was Bloodlines. And I'm excited to see what you guys are going to do. And I'm sure it's going to be pretty amazing, pretty cool. But I also want to share something that was really cool that you have done. And let me bring up that screen real quick. Let's see. Oops, that's not it. There we go. So this is your Instagram page, and you have the chance to go to the Calico Ghost Town, the original Calico Ghost Town that Knott's Berry Farm is based on. And sorry, I'm scrolling through. I was scrolling through the wrong one. Sorry. Hey, it's you. Let me go back. I scrolled the wrong one. So this is the actual ghost town of Calico. If you guys have never seen it, this is what Walter Knott actually based Knott's Berry Farm on, and it's a pretty cool place.
To crush a penny for you. Step
There's
on up.
Pappy. What's cool is that, you know, Walter Knott, you know, he modeled the ghost town after this, and this ghost town is actually on the way to Vegas, or on the way back to California. It's in California on the way back from Vegas. If you want to visit it, it's not a fun place to visit during the summer, let me tell you. But you were there like 15 weeks ago, and you were there to restore and help fix up the town, which I thought was amazing because you obviously are very, you know, great artist, and it was really heartwarming for me because I visit Calico, you know, at least once a year, I'd say. My family and I will drive out to Vegas, and on the way there we'll stop, or on the way back. And obviously the town is starting to get a little run down, but to see you and some of your friends, you know, working on, you know, the signs, and we're going to show you a couple other things that you worked on that were really cool. Just restoring this part of history, I thought was really, really cool. How did you get invited to actually go and restore the Calico ghost town?
So one of the people that used to work at Knott's as a makeup artist, I've kind of stayed in touch with him throughout the years. And he actually runs some of the recreational stuff there at Calico. So he kind of owns like the train and one of the stores and like,
oh, cool.
Just a few other things there, like the Haunted Shack, all of that stuff. And so he reached out to me because he realized that I was still working at Knott's and that I actually am now in a scenic painting role. So he asked me if I would ever be interested in coming out to, you know, restore some of the stuff out there, since obviously I have a little bit of experience with painting a ghost town. And yeah, so I was super excited about it, to be honest. To me, it's kind of like one of those bucket list things. Like, I love any type of ghost town. Like, I think they're amazing. Just to travel around, getting to see all of this stuff is so neat. But really getting to, you know, get my hands in there and like see all of this awesome stuff that's been around for so long and getting to restore it is just such a cool feeling. It was beautiful. It was really exciting too, because he actually commissioned me to do a giant like photo op for their Halloween event there. So I also did like a giant photo op, like cut out with where you put your faces into it. So I've gone to do a few different projects for them out there. So it's kind of neat when, you know, my friends say they've gone through and they'll send me pictures of, hey, didn't you paint this? And I'm like, oh my God, yeah, there it is.
Yeah, it's very cool. I mean, look at the statue that you guys redid. I think it's amazing. He really restored it, and it looks great. So kudos to you and your friend Britt and everyone else that helped out with that. I think that's awesome that you were able to do that. And kudos, because, you know, I know that going through the mazes, and now I know that you worked on one of my favorite mazes, the depths. You know, that's really cool. I really admire all the people who, you know, take the time to put these mazes together, and whether it's at Knott's or Six Flags or Santa Ana Haunt, I mean, there's some amazing, you know, mazes out there and some great artists that take the time to put all these together for us every single year. So awesome. Well, thank you, Glow. And we kind of want to throw it out to the chat. So if you guys have any questions in the chat, go ahead and throw them in there, and we'll star them, and we'll ask and by the way, Glow, you mentioned you don't like the word scare actor. Is that correct?
I don't know what it is about it. I think it's just because I feel like we've gone through a lot of generations, and I started so far back that when it wasn't considered a scare actor, like there was no title for it. You were just a monster, or you're just talent, or you can just say I'm an actor. So hearing that name, I don't know what it is about it. Just for me personally, like, I know people use it, and like, I don't shame them for it. Just for me personally, I feel weird when I say it. So that's why I don't like it.
So what do you prefer?
Anything but that. Pretty much just actor, you know, talent, a monster. Those are fine for me.
Well, don't go back to my live streams and listen to them, because I say scare actor a lot. So
everybody has their own preference. That's just one of mine, I guess.
Gotcha. What about you, Joey and Kevin? Do you guys have a preference?
Kevin, after you.
Not really. I mean, I do like talent. It just kind of sounds a little bit cooler, but it never really bothered me. I do remember one night though, and I'll make this quick, but we were clocking into Knott's, and people were starting to come in, because I originally started with a later start time, so the general public was trying to get in while we were trying to get in, and they were waiting in our line, and then they're like, oh no, those are employees only. And the girl's looking at us, she's like, "Oh, these are the monsters." And everyone behind me was just like, "Oh, like we're not monsters, we're just people, you know?" And I was just like, "Oh no, it's fine, you know? Like, yeah, I'm gonna be a monster in about 10 minutes, you know?"
Right. Very cool. Let's see. We have one question I saw that I starred, and we'll go back to it in a moment. But Jetta Jade said, I love Glow's glasses.
Benny.com.
Oh, there you go. She told you where she got them. So we did have one question, which I think is easy to answer. Wow, Glow, are those contacts? That's when I was showing you as the bride. So I'm assuming you are wearing contacts. If not, that's pretty scary.
They're blind contacts. They're not the ones that go completely over your eye, but they look like a grid. So the entire night, everything looks really foggy to me. And it's funny because I'm in the fog. If I had to give you an example of what it's like to wear them, it's like standing really, really close to like a screen door. So once you're in the dark and in the fog, it gets really difficult to see. I've just been wearing them for so long that I'm really used to seeing with them. But when light hits my eyes, I pretty much can't see anything. So it does get really bothersome when people come out us with their phones and the lights on and stuff like that, because we literally will go blind with it. Like I can't see anything. But I have learned how to kind of see people's silhouettes, and like I think my other senses get heightened because of it. They are a lot of fun.
Oh, see, I'm just gonna blame it on that. You didn't recognize me the other night, and that's why you're running away from me. Yeah, gotcha. But I was wondering because those the contacts are really, really cool, but it makes me wonder, how well you guys can see. That's kind of scary. The fact that I gotta tell you, ghost town is sometimes really hard to see when you're going through the fog and the darkness. So that makes it extra scary for you.
At this point, I feel like I could close my eyes and I can find my way around.
Oh, true. You've been there enough. So I know that we talked about this earlier, but GV559 was asking how long does it take to put the makeup on? And I think you guys mentioned that it takes about, half hour to an hour or longer, depending on what you're doing, right?
Yeah, roughly. If you're like in a 2D character, it's probably like 20 to 25 minutes if you and your makeup artist are not yapping.
Like Lo was talking about. I will say I admire the makeup artists. It's really cool because when we went to the preview night for Not Scary Farm this year, it was neat seeing the makeup artists out there doing their thing and trying the gentleman who was hosting was like, okay, well, we're gonna do this now, we're gonna do this, kept changing it up on them, and they were on the fly just whipping out the makeup on the people's faces, and it was really, really cool. So, and it's unbelievable. How many makeup artists are there at Not Scary Farm, Glow and Kevin? If you
That's
remember,
hard to say. There's a lot. I want to say maybe at least 40 for sure. Like there's a lot. There's a giant like room in the warehouse, and it's completely full, just back to back to back, just artists.
Oh yeah, and then you can definitely smell the airbrush like when you're coming around the corner.
Smell of pro air.
Mm-hmm. Jetta is asking, are guests in the theater-related occupations when they're not working at the parks?
And theater-related occupation. It really depends. With me, I work at a full contact horror escape room, which is like kind of like an escape room meets a theatrical experience, so kind of. But I also do musical theater on the side.
Cool.
And I do not. I'm just me, which is, I guess, enough. But honestly, I've never done anything with acting or anything of the sort. It's just something that happened.
Yeah, same here. I mean, I did go to school for film, so I did act in a couple of like short films because we just need bodies. But this is my first actual time like seriously acting.
Cool. Linda Lou is asking, did you all get to choose which monster you wanted to be, or were you assigned one?
You are assigned your creature. So when you audition, like at Knott, you audition, they pull you up to the table, and they're like, alrighty, so we would like to offer you a role here as yada, 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 X, Y, and Z. Or sometimes they may offer you multiple roles, and then at that point, you're able to be like, okay, let me go here. But most of the time, it's like, we want you specifically to go here.
Yeah, and it's also
Alright.
very secretive. Like at first I thought I was supposed to be a blackout because my character's code name was Graveyard Usher. So I was assuming like, oh, am I gonna wear a black hood and have a flashlight and just be like, keep it going, folks, keep it going, folks. But I had to get reassured by some Knott's veteran friends of mine. They were like, no, you're a monster. Like you didn't get hired as a blackout. You're a monster. So yeah, and then it's pretty nerve-wracking. Like you go and you audition, and they give you two generic characters, and they make you act it out, and it's like American Idol. They're like, number 34, please come up. Number 26, please come up. And I do know if you do really well as your monster, you can come back the next year and request it.
Hmm.
For me, I think it's really interesting because things have really changed over the years. So the way things are done now are completely different than they were when I first came in. Back in the day when I first started, you would go in, you'd sit at a table, and they would have binders for each maze. And they would ask you, all right, what 2 binders do you want to choose? And they'd pull the binder, and you could go and you would look through all the papers and choose which character it was that you wanted that was still available. So then if it was available, you get to pull that one. Now that character is taken. So things have changed a lot. Back then, there was no auditions for mazes. For a long time, there was no auditions, honestly, for even street talent. This all kind of changed over, I want to say, in like 2008, 2009, where all of that was reintroduced. And I feel like as the years have gone by, they've gotten a little bit more streamlined and more consistent with it. So it is more of a, hey, I'm going to offer you this role. You don't have as much say in it as you did before.
Interesting. All right. Thanks for sharing. And they were just asking what's the audition process like. So I think that kind of answered the question. We also had, looks like we have a question for the streamers here. What character would our 3 streamers like to be at Knott? So Cordy, let's start with you.
Oh no, I'm on the spot. I love the Goring 20s. I love just hanging out there. So I think that would be a fun area to be in.
Okay.
Yeah,
Maybe
young
character in the Goring 20s.
Like, no, just like you get to dress really cool and Devil's Elixir. No, I mean just to be there.
What about you, theme park casual?
Younger me would have loved to have been a slider at one point, but I think I'd probably go with Ghost Town. Just I like the creatures. I like the way the animals have come to life, and that sort of a look. I get a kick out of that. I don't know what creature I would want to be, but I'd go. I'd like to choose one of those if I could.
Yeah, that's a tough one for me too because I love the Goring 20s. Look, I'm even wearing my Blind Tiger T-shirt. Look at that right there. But the Ghost Town in the Fog there. I mean, just it's pretty amazing too. I think they're kind of 2 different things though. You can be kind of funny. I mean, obviously, like the pig, monsters that are over there always crack me up, because they can be kind of funny where everyone else is very serious and stays in a character. You're not able to talk to people as much in, Ghost Town, where it's Goring 20s. You can talk to people, you can be funny, you can be sick, scary all at once. So I kind of think, I think I might say the Goring 20s. I don't know. Yeah, that's probably what I'd say. I forgot to mention Glow, by the way, and I forgot to bring it up. In fact, let me see if I have it on your page here. You also were artists for, you did one of the pieces of artwork for was it Out of the Fog? Is that what it was called? Into the Fog.
Yeah.
Yes. Hold on, did I skip it? Here we go. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Because you had your artwork on display. Oh, there it is. Let me share this with everyone. And this one did sell out. So you can buy these at the original prints there at Knott Scary Farm. There it is. So this is the one that you created. And it was entitled Throwback. So I thought it was kind of cool because I had the mummy and obviously the vampire and the bat. Very, very cool. And the thing is, if the original was bought, then there was extras that you could actually buy, which is really, really cool. But you know what? I always tell Theme Park Casual I'm cursed because I can never seem to buy any of the original artwork there. I'll go there the first day, the opening. It's like I get there and it's like, wow, how did these 10 people beat me here and buy all these things that I thought were kind of cool? But that was really, really cool. So kudos to you. Do you enter those very often, or?
I've been doing the Into the Fog show since the first year that they introduced it. And luckily, I've pretty much sold every piece that I've put in. This year, the person who purchased my art piece said that he was waiting for the store to open, and it was one of the first things he bought. So that was really cool.
I know you literally have to be there when the park opens and run over there to just get the piece that you want. So, Linda Lou said the clowns have way too much fun. And it's so hard to decide. I agree. It's really funny. I've mentioned this a couple times on the show, but I remember when we went to the preview night, we took my daughter, and the clowns in Carnival were there, and she doesn't like clowns at all. And so my daughter was like, "Ooh, clowns!" And I said, "Oh, there's a clown." And one of the clowns said, "Where's the clown?" And he was freaking out, like, "What? There's a clown?" And obviously he was a clown, so he made it really fun and inviting for my daughter because she was not into clowns, or she's not into clowns very much. But I think that's what's so cool is that all the monsters and actors, take the time to really, show everyone a good time. In fact, I think, Linda Lou said it here best. I have to give props to the monsters, even though they scare the living life out of me at times. They are beyond great with kids, and you guys really are great. And when to be scary, but you also know when to be fun and compassionate. And I've seen some really amazing moments with the monsters and the families out there, and it's really, really cool. Especially now, I'm not taking my daughter to Knott's Scary Farm until next year for the first time. She got to go to the preview night, but she's never gone. She can't wait. But I definitely wouldn't bring some of my younger kids. But when the parents do bring the young kids, some of them are pretty brave and they interact really well with the monsters. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I really feel it's kind of important when I do see kids. I mean, I have a son who's 9. He's been coming to Haunt since he was like 2 years old. So everything is normal life for him. So he totally gets it. But when I see other kids, it's like I see my child in them. And the way I think of it, this is the new batch of kids that are going to be loving Haunt. Like, what better way than to introduce them to know that, it's really not scary. Like, we're all just people. We're acting. It's a show. Don't be scared. Like, you need to show them so that they continue to love it and their love grows for it.
Exactly. Well, I want to thank all of you for taking the time to be here. You guys are more than welcome to stay with us as we continue on the show, or if you want to leave, you're more than welcome to. But Kevin and Joey and Glow, it was a pleasure having you on the show and talking to all of you. You gave us so much insight as to what it's like to be a monster, an actor, and the things that you guys have done have really, helped me to enjoy the Haunt season this year. And I'm sure, Casual and Cordy could say the same thing. But we appreciate you taking the time out of your night to join us. We've been wanting to do this for a long time, and I hope maybe next year when it comes to close to Haunt, or maybe after, we can have you on the show again.
That'd be great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely welcome.
Thanks so much for coming on, guys.
Thank you.
And again, if you want to stay, you're more than welcome to. We're going to talk some Disney stuff. And if you want to go, you're more than welcome to leave too. But thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you. I'll see you guys later.
Thank you so much. See you.
All right. Bye, Glow.
See you soon.
Bye.
All right. Bye, guys. All right. Well, now it's just back to the 3. That was great. I mean,
that was awesome.
I know that we've been looking forward to it. I know it's taken about an hour and 41 minutes of our show here today, but I think you guys learned a lot about it. I couldn't wait to interview them because there's so much insight that they were going to provide us and give us tonight that I was like, well, what is the audition process like? I had that question, and what is it like to have the makeup put on, and is there anything they like and dislike? And some of the questions that you guys had tonight were perfect and spot on. So that was really, really cool.
Yeah, I didn't realize that the audition process was non-existent until about 2008. I thought you always had to, prove yourself. But from what you were saying, it seemed like, hey, if there's an opening, we'll take you.
Yeah, that it's crazy, but yeah, it looks like everyone really enjoyed it, and it was really, really cool. But great questions from both of you as well. So, all right, well, we are about ready to get into something else here. I'm going to change my background since we're not talking about Scary Farm anymore, and I think we'll change it to something like this. Hey, that looks familiar. All right, so let's talk about Tiana's Bayou Adventure, because I think all of us have had the opportunity to ride it now, correct?
Nope.
Oh, no?
I still have not gotten on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I'm hoping maybe on Wednesday, if I get lucky, I'll grab one and I'll try to get to the park early enough to just get on it, even before the big race, just because I want to see it. I'm dying to see what it's like and be able to give a actual I've been on it type of opinion.
Well, Brian said you said Disney, and I scared him off. So, well, Cordy and I have had the opportunity to ride it, and I know, we'd love to share, our thoughts on that real quick, and hopefully you'll be able to tell us what you think of it as well. And if for some reason you don't get to, November 15th is right around the corner. So, Cordy, what did you think of the ride?
I love it. I just love it. It's, I think it's just, and I've said this multiple times, but just, it's very joyful. Like you can't help but, smile the whole time, and you're kind of like, with music and tapping your foot in the water. But, yeah, I think it's just beautiful. The final scene is amazing. I would like to just stop the boat in there and just like, take more time to look at that. But I love it. I just love it.
How many times have you been on it now?
I think 3.
Wow. Kudos to you. That's awesome. I've been lucky to get that one. I got to tell you, it was so stressful trying to get the reservation for it. And finally, the day that I got it, I happened to be sitting down. I was like, I can go on a ride or I can sit here and wait. And I'm like, I'm going to sit here and wait next to It's Small World. And thankfully, I got it. And by the way, if anyone's trying to get it, I don't know about you, Cordy, but the first few times I was trying to hit that refresh button, and I don't hit it now. I just swipe down. And it seems like once I swiped, it was so much easier to get it than, hitting that refresh button. So I would definitely recommend to everyone pull down on the screen and swipe it down so that you can refresh the screen, and hopefully you'll get it as well.
I did. So. I tapped, right? I was tapping the button, but I don't know if this is the case, but I felt like for me, because you tap it and then it says join virtual queue. Like you have to hit that button
right
away. Otherwise
Well, my problem was I was hitting refresh, and then I would get an error message as soon as it was up. And then as soon as I cleared the error message, it would say join. And as soon as I went to hit join, it was gone. So because you have to be so fast. So I think pulling it down, and then as soon as that join comes up, you push it. I mean, literally. And by the way, I've tried with 2 different phones. Don't do that. It's too difficult just doing it with one phone. So I would just definitely recommend everyone do that. My experience was I got in line, I got through it, I was ready to go on. There was one group in front of me, and then it broke down. And I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me.
No, I saw that.
Oh, no. And then I want to say thank you to Dasher of Disney and to Donald's Dasher fan, because they were out there and they took the time to come and visit you guys on the weekend as well as myself, and so it was a pleasure meeting them. And by the way, thank you so much. Anytime you guys come out to the park, please take the time to come by and say hi to us. It's always a pleasure to see you guys and meet you and hang out. So we love it just as much as you love coming to meet us. So definitely come do that. Well, they went to go on Rise. I went to go on Tiana, and theirs broke down, and so did mine. So I get out. I had my virtual cube, or not virtual cube, but lightning lane. And I was like, oh, bummer, because it was literally like, I want to say it was 15 minutes before the ride was supposed to close for the day, because it's only open from 9 to 5 on the weekends. And so I was like, oh, what a bummer. So I met them out by Ray's Berets. We were talking there. They said, we're going to go get something to eat. I said, I'll walk with you. We start passing the front of the ride, and all of a sudden I'm like, there are people on those logs.
Hmm.
It's open. So I go back and I said, yeah, go talk to the cast member, see if you can get on it. Well, the cast member where you check in at said, I'm sorry, we've got this closed. We can't let you in. But you know what? Why don't you go down there and just ask the cast members down there? Maybe it's just you, right? And I said, yeah, it's just me. And they said, well, maybe they'll be nice enough to let you through. And I said, okay, sure. It doesn't hurt to ask. So I went down there and I, saw a cast member. I said, hey, listen, I just got a lightning lane for this. And I just walked off and now I see it's working again. Is there any way I could possibly, get on? She goes, just you? And I said, yeah. And she goes, sure, come this way. And then she tells another cast member to let me through, but they just didn't let me back into the line. They let me go through the lightning lane. And I thought that was so cool and so nice that they let me do that. So kudos to, I want to say it was Emmy? I can't remember. Sorry. My bad. I'll go back to my live stream. But kudos to her. I gave her, when I got off the ride, I gave her my cast member extraordinaire, Barry Place sticker. She was so cool. And that's one thing, guys. If something happens at the park, it doesn't hurt to ask and be nice and friendly about it. Don't, I got off the ride and it broke down. And, just talk to the cast members that are always, willing to make that magic moment for you. And they definitely did that for me. And so I went back through and, I was able to get on the ride. And thankfully, I was able to get to row 5. They stopped letting people sit in the last row because of whatever issue it was. But and by the way, it's kind of funny because that's the same type of issue they used to have with Splash Mountain. When it would break down, they would go, okay, let's not put anyone in the last row. So I don't know if it's a weight issue or whatnot. I will tell you that when I got on this ride, I was smiling from ear to ear because it's the same old ride that I know and remember. It's the same Splash Mountain log ride, and I was thoroughly enjoying just being back on the logs. Nothing's changed about the logs; they're still the same thing. I kind of wish they did have the characters' faces on the front. I think it was so cool if they added, Lewis or Tiana or just some of the characters. I think that would have been cool. I will say that seeing everything with a fresh paint. The lights and everything like that, everything looked really, really good. One of the things that Cordy was saying is like, I kind of wish that we could just, spend more time like looking at everything. And I don't know what it is, but it seems like it goes, you tell me, Cordy, but does it seem like the ride goes faster than Splash Mountain?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, so I almost felt like I didn't have enough time to really look at everything because unlike Walt Disney World, you are definitely going through there a lot faster and you see a lot more things. Like all of a sudden you see Lewis and Tiana and then boom, there's a band and then there's a band on the other side and you're like, oh okay. So you do see that. I thought it looked really, really good as far as what they put together. For me, the music wasn't the greatest thing. I think only the one song from the movie was my favorite. But just being on the ride itself was cool again because I missed the ride and it's the same track. It's the same fun log ride. I think that they made some new enhancements that were kind of cool. So like when you go down the slipping slopes or slide or whatever they call it, that first drop, and they extended the tunnel so that your eyes can adjust to the darkness. I thought that was a really cool thing that they did. Everything worked except for Lewis. The first Lewis was not working for me, but it's a preview. That's what's supposed to happen, right? They're supposed to work out the kinks. And then the other thing I wish that I could have seen a little bit better was when you see Mama Odie where she says, let's get you bigger. Well, I was sitting in the last row and there's a little ledge or lip right below the video screen. And I could barely see it. In fact, if you go back and look at my live stream, you'll be able to see like you see her talking, but then you barely see her because you go under that lip. So I wish I could have seen that more. One thing I did notice is that when I was watching yours, Cordy, and some of the other streamers, is that it's been kind of inconsistent when it comes to the lights and the mist. I had tons of mist and lighting when I was going up the final ramp, and that was really cool. I thought that was neat, but obviously they're testing it. Some people had that and some people didn't. I know when I went through it, I thought it was neat because it really added to the elements and everything. I was lucky enough that our log did not take on a lot of water. So, but after you do that final splash, which is still amazing, I will say that I kind of was hoping to see maybe some more things along the side, because one of the things I didn't like about Splash Mountain was that they didn't have anything after that final drop. You didn't have anything, really to look at. I think it's just one Larry Armadillo that you get to see before you go to the final, finale. And then one of the things that I was curious to see how it was going to be is that when you go to that final finale, in Splash Mountain, it just looked like everything was bright, and obviously you're in the dark, so it's not bright, but everything just looked big and huge. And here it kind of felt like you were a little more intimate with the characters and the people because you're at the party. So I kind of missed that sense of wow, everything's huge and big in here, and it's the Zippity Doo-Dah song. I kind of wish it had a little bit better of a ending song that made you like the Zippity Doo-Dah one, but that was I thought everything was working, and it was okay. It was cool with me. So overall, I enjoyed being on it because it's the same old log ride that we remember, and it was a lot of fun. So
yeah, and then that song is an original, right? It's for the ride.
yeah, it's original. And here's the thing, though, it's original. So I've only been on it once, and even though I've seen plenty of the videos, I'm sure it'll grow on me over time. It just hasn't gotten to me yet, like Zippity Doo-Dah. So, and that happens on a lot of rides, though. So, I still don't think the story's that great. But as far as a ride, I'm glad it's back open. I'm glad that it's still the same fun ride that I remember. And I'll definitely go on it again. So.
And Carol G was in town, so she actually got to ride it when they were here. I know, sorry I missed you guys, but kind of what we were saying, right? That she just went a little bit slower so you could, see everything. So.
Yeah, that's the only thing. And if you only get that chance to ride it once when you go to the park, it's kind of a bummer because it does kind of go fast. Now, I will say that there's some things like it's funny in some areas, like when you're coming around that second bend and you see Tiana and Lewis and then the band on both sides. That's really cool, but it's almost too much. So you're like this, whereas when you go to the very end, when in Splash Mountain, it used to be the possums and then it was the rabbits on the other side. Well, now where the possums were, there's nothing there. It's kind of just dark. And I would have loved to have seen another screen over there with more fireflies to make it feel a little more immersive so that you just didn't have it on one side to look at because you would have had it over here and then over here. Maybe it was a budget issue. I'm not sure, but I think it would have been cool if they could have, added, something there. And then I was kind of hoping you see the bottles hanging from, the cave inside as you go up to see Mama Odie. And then all of a sudden there's like nothing. And then there's, a handful before you do the drop. I would have liked to have seen more bottles hanging. I think that would have been a little more immersive as well.
No, I can.
And Carol,
and I wonder if it's because they were relying on the fog and the lights, right? Like, but if that's not working,
yeah,
like
that's true.
it should, then you feel like something's missing.
True.
Yeah.
And Carol, sorry that you missed us. I would have loved to have met you in the park, but I hope you had a great time at Disneyland. Yeah, I think that who knows? I mean, I will say that they're definitely having some issues and they're working on them. Not as many as Walt Disney World, thankfully, and that's what I was kind of hoping, is that they wouldn't have as many issues. But we'll have to wait and see once it opens to the public how it continues to go on. And it's funny too because I think I jinxed the ride that day that I got on it because I asked the cast member. I said, "Listen, how's everything going today? Everything working fine?" He goes, "You haven't broken down once. Everything's great." And literally after you said that, it broke down. I'm like, I guess I shouldn't ask you. He goes, "Guess not." Type thing. Too funny. Oh, Jed, did you just throw that up there?
Yes, he said that that he loves the song. It's catchy, the last song. I just wanted to flash that up there, but I know I think I've already used them on posts and reels, and it's been with me too.
Yeah, I'm trying to do that right now. I posted one the other night of the final splash, and I'm doing some other ones too. When I was on the ride, I actually was like this: one vertical, one horizontal. This was a live stream. This was my vertical, and I did my best. Judge J says, "Does anyone know what happened to the characters that were in Splash Mountain, like the rabbit that was tied up?" I know that they had saved like the sign and a couple of the things that were inside the ride for historical purposes, but I have no idea what happened to all those animatronics.
Yeah, and then Brian Sevilla was asking about that last drop, right when the water's running. And I know you commented later, Brian, about people getting drenched on the last drop, but the times I went on it, that wasn't when I got soaked. It was that same big drop inside, or not big drop, but the one where we're all familiar
The
with.
dipsy do, because you come up after that, and there was always that spot right at the turn. It'd get a wave right over the side.
Yeah, that's the same from my experience.
Just seems to be. I will say that we didn't have. Even though we had 5 people, I don't think we had a big heavy log. And I've noticed that more of the people who have gotten a lot of water on board had a lot of people. So it's probably more weight, and that you hit that corner, and it's like you see that wall of water, and you're just like, no. I feel so bad for those people. And
for the last drop, right?
Yeah, for that last. Oh yeah, you were talking about the first one. Sorry.
Well, because I was going to say we had a lighter when I went with Devin and CL. It was a lighter boat, but of course it was full of water already. So that was
what? The funny thing was, while I was doing my live stream, I kind of like looked over and I was looking at every log to see if there's a lot of water in there. And then there's only one where the lady got out and literally she took her shoes out and it was just dripping wet. And I'm like, ooh, that's not good. That was definitely a few inches of water in there. And it's sad too, because, I thought they had some sort of drainage plug inside the logs when you go up the ramps where it's supposed to drain, but maybe they're not working. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Well, I can't wait to hear what you think of it, Theme Park Casual. Once
me too. I can't wait.
The big race. That's going to be the.
I will say this though, from the beginning when they announced the animatronics and everything, my initial thought was, why are you putting such advanced animatronics on a ride where you just like breeze past them? Because Splash Mountain always was kind of a quick moving, log flume. It wasn't a slow thing. There was very few spots where you would really slow down, especially when when you first dropped into the mountain, the how do you do scene, you would be cruising through that really quick. So anything all the way up to the Dipsy Doo drop, you're like almost flying past it, so
I think too, I don't know, maybe because we're filming it, like there's a little more of that, like, oh my gosh, I got to catch
right
both of them. Like I would like to experience it without filming it to see, it's a little more leisurely that you can take it in.
One of the things that I remember. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that was my initial reaction was, you're moving pretty quick through it, to have animatronics like that where you don't have a chance to, kind of really look at them, the way you could in, say, like the way Minnie and Mickey, they can stop you and you can kind of watch things for a second. That's where you would want to put animatronics that are, that advanced. And not to say, don't do advanced animatronics. But if you're going to put them on a ride like this, it's kind of like, I don't know if it's, really necessary to go to that extent. But, I think in Florida, there's actually spots where you're looking, down the flume at an animatronic moving. So there's more time from that perspective, because they've got, it's a different track layout. So maybe you're not moving quite as, past it, or you have some time to actually take it in as you're approaching it. Versus Disneyland, where you've got a lot of turns and not a whole lot of distance viewing when you're on the ride.
Well, it makes me wonder too if they took the time to smooth out some of the parts of the ride, because there are areas where I remember I was like, I kind of braced myself because I knew the log would hit hard around the corner, or maybe you feel it start to go down and it's like, and you're like, oh. There goes my bottom. Okay. So there's things that you would expect. And I don't remember, I was paying attention to those and I was bracing myself a couple times. I'm like, oh, well, that was smooth. That was good. So I think maybe if that's what they did, and, working on the ride, and they probably smoothed out some of those areas, maybe that's why it's going a little bit faster as well. And it's not hitting so many, bumps in the area, but I will say that it did go very fast, very smooth, but almost a little too fast where you just didn't get to enjoy, seeing all that stuff. So I was worried about seeing a lot of, screens. There are a lot of screens, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. And I do like, seeing the fireflies. I think those are kind of cool. And what I think is cool is they actually put that in raised berets too, where you can see, the Firefly, video like you see in the ride. So I like that consistency. Is the very back seat of the log smaller than the rest? It seems so tight. Not row 6, 7. It's called 6, 7, so it's actually a little bit longer and wider.
Yeah.
Not longer, wider, so that you can put 2 people side by side. So like if it's adult and a child, but all the other seats are kind of small. Wish they had moved the picture viewing area back inside the exit cube, Brian says. So when I got off the ride, because too many people who haven't rode the ride are crowding around the picture viewing area. Oh, yeah. I didn't actually have that problem, but that probably was definitely happening in the beginning. When I got off the ride, I walked by where the picture viewing area was, and I was like, oh, they just boarded it up. It almost seems like a waste of space. But that was an area where it was tough because everyone would crowd in there, and then you couldn't see your photo, to me, it was really wet in there too. So now that you have to go all the way outside, I thought it was nice that they actually put it outside, because now you have the time to go see it out there. And to me, I felt like I had plenty of room, but I didn't have a ton of people crowding around. I do think they could have made it maybe a little bit wider, because you have that little house out there that has the video screens, but
it's like in Credicoaster when you're like, let me in, let me get my number.
I was doing that last night with my dad and with my 2 friends. I was like rushing up there to get the picture, and I'm like, excuse me. Okay. There we go. So, but I liked it. The one thing I did notice, and this is one of the things that I really wish, why they had a better story, but I don't know if you heard it in the line, Cordy, but in Q, they actually have a radio station playing music from the movie, which is kind of cool. A radio announcer came on and explains the story to you before you get on the ride. And to me, it's like, well, to me, I love the storytelling when you're on a ride. So I wish, that was a little bit better, but at least they kind of explain to you so you know what's happening and going on. I think they're trying to do a better job than what, they had done in Walt Disney World, because I don't believe they actually have that. Let's see. Is there any other questions about Tiana's before we move on?
No, Haunted Mermaid said pick up the cat TPC.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I think everybody else went to bed, so she's like, all right, well, I guess I'm just going to sit here by the door and cry.
I'm going to go bother Daddy right now. Yeah. All right. EXP66 says, I guess, wish they made a different story with Dr. Facilier and digging deeper to find what they were made of. That's what I wished for that too, but that's the problem.
Yeah, it's just so weird. It's so weird because, I mean, if you're going to use Splash Mountain, it almost seems like it's a perfect, what they call the book report ride. It seemed like it would have worked for that, simply because you have that climb, with the perfect setup for, the treacherous villain scene. Dipsy Dewdrop, you're in where it used to be the laughing place. It's dark, it's cramped. You could have had all the shadows up on the walls and doing all kinds of stuff. And then, are you ready as you're going up? It seems like it would have been perfect.
Yeah.
But
I
don't know. I can't figure out why they didn't go that way.
Because they didn't want voodoo, remember?
I'm just saying.
I know. So Brian says, I wish they had fireflies outside the ride like the conceptual art. I agree. I think that would have been really cool. Can you imagine that? You see that in Pirates of the Caribbean. That would have been cool to see it outside too.
Yeah, it could be that it's just a too delicate of an effect, and a little bit of wind, and it's destroyed. And
that and not to mention the fact that I think they spent so much money on this ride that they just didn't have. As 4 years ago, they said it's going to be like this. And 2 years later, they said it's going to be like this. And then 2 years later, they said, oh, it's like this. So it changed quite a bit. And so that conceptual art that you saw originally was not the same as what they eventually said it was going to be in the end. So they really need lockers over there too. Oh, that was
I can't believe that they didn't do the lockers for this one.
Yeah.
That's just,
that would have been a great idea.
Yeah.
They could put them right next to the picture thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, they still have that one area boarded up. I'm assuming that's what they're still going to use for DAS. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe they do have lockers over there. We just can't see.
I was gonna say, I hope so, because that would really come in handy for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. All right. Well, I think we'll go ahead and move on to our last topic, and that is the holidays are approaching fast. And in fact, we are going to be starting off with November 15th with, did all three of you get reservations for Christmas?
I was saving that one.
So it's starting on November 15th. And did you guys get reservations?
I've got my reservation. I just don't know if I'm going to be able to make it on the 15th or not. So I grabbed the 16th just in case. So
yeah,
work may not cooperate for the 15th. We shall see.
Darn work.
Always getting in the way.
Yeah.
I know. Cordy, did you get November 15th?
I did. I think I booked it a long time ago.
I did, yeah.
Holding on to it.
Yeah, I've had that one probably for probably 90 days. I think I got it as soon as they announced that was the day, and I was like, I gotta grab it.
Well, and now I got one day for Candlelight Procession because they announced those dates. So
I got to renew because I can't get my reservations past the 22nd right now.
Oh yeah, I can't either. Thought I renew.
I don't know if I want to go to Candlelight though. Honestly, it was such a bad experience last year. I hated it. I was like, I don't know if I want to do this again.
Yeah, I know, because he was hanging out with me. And that's not what it was.
It was driving me nuts. No, but seriously, it was just I wasn't able to enjoy it. So I don't know if I'll go. I don't know if I'll even bother with it this year.
Well, see, that's been my experience in the past with the processional, is that it's either a really good experience or a really horrible one. I mean, I almost feel like I just don't even want to try to stand and wait for it. And then it's a bummer because, I want to be there so I can show it to everyone, but then you don't know if you're going to get a very good spot. You don't know,
Signal was horrible last year for everybody.
Signal was horrible. It kept dropping and everything. I mean, if I was going to do it, I'd almost want to just not even do a live stream and just do a recording of it and then, play back or something like that. But yeah, it's one of those, it's love-hate relationship when it comes to the processional, and it's a beautiful thing. I love it. It's amazing. It's so great. I kind of wish though, like Walt Disney World has it perfect because they have so many different, people coming, and they do it on so many, nights where we only get one night twice. And that's it. But understandable why. So. And
Jetta Jade, they don't announce that until basically a couple days before. They keep it a very, very tight secret for some reason at Disneyland.
Yeah, at Walt Disney World, they've already announced. In fact, they announced about a month ago, I think, all the people who are going to come for the processional at Walt Disney World. But Disneyland, it's always, you find out, well, you usually start hearing rumblings a couple of days before, but you don't usually find out until the day before, day of, or something like that, it seems like. So, which is kind of a bummer. And now, I did get my reservation for November 15th, but I don't know that I'm going to make it either. So there's a good chance I may not, unfortunately. So unfortunately, I'll probably have to pass on that and cancel my reservation before I get third strike. Unfortunately, I know I couldn't go one day and I said, oh, that's okay. I got one strike. And then I forgot to delete my reservation last week and I got another strike. I was like, so, but we also have another one coming up on the 22nd of November, and that's Knott's Merry Farm. So you don't need a reservation for that, but are either one of you going on November 22nd?
I've got the day requested off from work, but we'll see if it actually happens. So I'm planning to be there for opening day. That's going to be part 2 of the charity stream. First part is going to be this Saturday. I'll be streaming at Disneyland, raising funds for Operation Christmas Child, and if we can get to $426 this year, I will be commissioning another crazy hat from Jen.
Okay, Cordy, you donate $200. Just I will tell you, I wasn't sure what to expect, and last year when you commissioned her to do the hat, we were all waiting in anticipation.
I had no idea until she pulled it out of the bag. I had no idea what was coming.
Well, she did an amazing job, and I can't wait to see what she does this year.
Yeah, this year we've already talked. I think she had an idea that I liked, And then I gave her what I was thinking, and she liked that too. So I think we're going to have to kind of regroup and talk about it should it happen. So,
does it have anything to do with Tron or Cap Neo? Just kidding.
Not that I can recall. I'm trying to remember what hers was. Hers was a good one, but I can't remember the details of it. So that's what I want to reconfer with her and find out what her idea was again. But I should put in there that maybe she'll make me some crochet pants, and I'll wear crochet pants on Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
That would be hot and really soggy wet. Wow, some heavy pants.
So that may be like a higher level. If we reach a certain level of donations, then maybe we'll have to, commission the crochet pants.
Where do you come up with these things? That's hilarious.
I saw it on Instagram.
Speaking of Instagram, I wanted to share this with you guys real quick. Let me give me 1 second to find it. Oh, lost my voice there. What's going on? Where is that? Here it is. So Knott's Berry Farm, by the way, has a couple things that are going on. One ends tomorrow, and that is the senior buffet dinner on November 5th. It's 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. I thought I'd share that real quick. I know it's not Christmas related, but I just want to share it before I forgot. But they also are, let's see. Oh, maybe it's not this. Oh, it's not this page. It is another page. Hold on 1 second.
And senior means, what was it? 60
plus, I thought it was. Oh, let's go back. It was. I thought they said it was 60 plus.
I think I looked at it. I thought it was 65.
Oh, it is 50 plus. Ooh, 50 plus?
50?
That's what this person's saying. It is 50 plus. Wow.
I'm fact checking.
No, they're saying,
what's going on there? Oh, is it?
That's what we're all expecting now. They need to lower it up.
Hey, does it count if I have a double ARP card already?
That's what I'm saying. Like, you can get that. You should be able to get a darn senior.
Well, they are also having Cordelia's Christmas Tea Party. This is tea for two. It's $29 per person. It includes several different teas that you can choose from chai, cranberry, blood orange, black tea, Earl Grey, legendary green organic, lemon ginger, etc., etc. They have starters. You can get Mrs. Knott's buttermilk biscuits, or a blueberry scone, or a cranberry white chocolate scone. They also have pastries such as a fruit tart, the Linzer cookie, the chocolate choke. I can't pronounce it. Almond financier, and the pistachio orange zest cookie. Man, I gotta put my glasses on there. Sandwiches include the avocado toast, egg salad sandwich, roast beef pinwheel, or a charcuterie cold cut sandwich. And then they also have a kids menu for $20, and it has as a starter fresh seasonal fruit cup. Sandwiches include grilled cheese, ham cheese, or an almond butter and jelly. And for dessert, they have a chocolate pudding with strawberry mousse. Ooh, that does sound good. So this is a little Cordelia's Christmas tea party. I don't remember them having this last year. So,
and where is this? Where would they do this?
This is inside Mrs. Knott's Chicken Dinner Restaurant.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So it's 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. inside Mrs. Knott's Chicken Dinner Restaurant. And again, it's served for a party of two. It's $29 per person. Larger groups will be charged in sets of two. So yeah, I don't know if I would do this. Maybe it'd be fun to do an afternoon tea. So we'd have to get someone else to join us for the three of us. But I'm sure we can. I don't
drink tea.
Whatever.
I was just doing the joke from Greece.
I know. But we could always get some streamer support to help us out with that one.
Yes, come along.
But
exactly.
While we're on the topic of food, Disney released their holiday foodie guide today. And Knott's, I believe they're going to be releasing theirs soon. I saw that some people had some photos.
Yeah. So let me share that real quick, because I had one. I shouldn't have stopped sharing. There we go. Oops. Come back up here. Present. Here it is. So, and by the way, this is from our Knott's venture. They also showed, so there's just some of the foods. They don't name what the foods are, but you can see them. Obviously, it looks like we've got, well, these are funnel cakes. So it looks like we got a, is that like an eclair one? You got like a churro one. You got like a mac and cheese. I don't know about that one. Ooh, you got some sort of sandwich there. I'm not sure what that. You got chicken wings. Looks like nachos.
So we're going to find out what exactly Knott's has, probably in the next day or so. But Disney released theirs, and Cordy will be doing an in-depth look at the foodie review and all the new food items available for the Festival of Holidays at Disneyland Resort. You'll be doing that. What time tomorrow?
What time tomorrow?
Yeah. Okay, sometime tomorrow. Make sure you've got your bell clicked so that you're notified when she goes live.
It'll probably be around, I'd probably say 7-ish.
Okay. So
yeah, evening.
Tomorrow evening sometime.
I will be watching because I want to see this.
Yeah, I know. There were a couple of things that I looked through that I was like, okay, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
So hopefully I can afford it.
Yeah, no kidding, huh? So there are a couple other things. This is the Christmas shirt this year with Snoopy. It says "'Tis the Season" and it says "Knott's Merry Farm." And then the special pin that comes along with it this year, it looks like it almost looks like a Santa. Well, is that supposed to be what's his name?
Whittles.
I think his name Whittles. Yeah, is like Santa. I think that's what it is. And then they also have this other. They have an interactive ornament this year. So last year they had interactive bubble wands. This year they have an interactive ornament, which I think is kind of cool. It looks like a lantern still, but it's a new interactive. They're going to have wonder wands and ornaments. They're both $29.99, and they'll both be available starting November 22nd. And you'll be able to purchase them in person. And it does say heads up for Prestige pass holders. If you visit Knott's 2+ times in October, you can check your pass perks and you should have a 25% off coupon for the interactive ornament. So that's kind of cool. Very nice. There's one other thing that I wanted to show you guys real quick. Let me bring it over here.
Geofire out here like Batman. Somebody do the streamer support signal.
Yes.
That was me, Geo. So I want to say thank you to all of our military veterans and to fire and police and all that stuff. But we do have the 2024 military tribute days at Knott's Berry Farm from November 4th through the 21st, and then December 2nd through the 12th. It's only Monday through Thursday, but that is for the military tribute days. For the 2024 fire and law tribute days, it's December 2nd through the 12th, and then January 6th through the 23rd, Monday through Thursday. So eligible personnel and up to 5 additional people can get in for $25 each, which is really, really nice. So if you are in law enforcement or fire or military, you can take advantage of that. And just want to say thank you to all of our first responders and military. And again, thank you for your service. Okie dokie. Well, let's see. Cordy in California, how was the hot?
I was just going to say, Brian brings us up. So we were at HHN last night, and we all had something we needed to do when we come back. And we were there with Main Street Cowgirl, CL, Devin, Soli Woli, like a big group of us. Anyways, Anthony comes out with this, what is it, 22-inch chili cheese dog. Yeah.
22.
Is that crazy?
How did you put? What kind of plate was that on?
It comes with. It has a handle. Little tray, and then it has a handle. Yeah.
I would say it'd have to have a huge. Hey, I got my 22-foot long hot dog.
I know, it's pretty crazy.
So you guys all share it together?
Yeah, we all took a little bite, so it was okay. Mm-hmm. We all thought it could have been fresher, hotter, so it was like, I don't know.
That's a
Yeah.
bummer. It was funny too because I was streaming last night with my dad celebrating his birthday at Disneyland, and I had someone come to my chat and goes, "Everyone's at HHN tonight. You're the only one that like here, at Disneyland." I'm like, "Well, cool. Thanks for joining me." But I'm like, "Yeah," and they're like, and then a couple people are asking, "How come you're not at HHN?" Well, I wanted to go, but my dad's birthday was on Friday, and unfortunately we didn't get to celebrate because we had a quinceañera meeting to go to, and then my daughter and my wife and I were all in a quinceañera on Saturday, and it took up our whole day. So we took my dad out for dinner yesterday, and then I took him to Disneyland. And thank you everyone for watching and wishing him a happy birthday. He really appreciated it, and he had a lot of fun. So
Good. No, that's good.
all right. Did you guys have anything else to share for Christmas?
Not for Christmas, but just a real quick, the Star Wars fireworks package has been announced, and I can't remember exactly when it's the first time, but wow.
I haven't even looked at that. I'm so, what is it? Were you going to say
$89 per person.
So it's like a dessert.
Oh,
Almost
you know what?
Mm-hmm.
I forgot to. I was going to bring this up for the stream tonight, and I totally forgot. But since we were talking about this, so packages have gotten kind of crazy. Like you said, $89 for the Star Wars package. I was trying to look it up to see if I could find it real quick. Hold on one second. Is this it? Oh, there it is. The new $89 fireworks dining package. Oof. Yeah. What do you get for that?
I think you get like 3 little cheeseburger bite ball kind of things that are whatever, and then a couple little other pieces of food. They do the black calf eclair kind of thing, like a tiny little thing, and then some other blue milk dessert. Well, here's the thing. And then you want to know what you get with that for the fireworks? A standing room spot on that ledge.
Kidding.
They don't even give you chairs.
See that?
I'm telling you, man, they're nuts. And the thing that's frustrating is people are going to pay it, and they're going to think, we win, we did it. What a great idea we had.
Christmas parade. Remember, I did the Christmas parade dinner last year.
Mm-hmm.
It was a total disappointment to me. That was, at least the food was good, but I was like, I'm going to stand here, and then you're going to let everyone else in anyways. Like, it was just
right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I mean, think about it. I mean, the only reason you want that spot is to be able to sit down and relax watching the fireworks. So if you're standing, it's not going to be any different than if you were down at the Falcon.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, the food is definitely not going to be worth $89. And now the spot itself without a chair, 100% not worth it.
Well, see, that's my issue right now with Disney. It's like you're not really getting your money's worth, right? And that's what's so sad. But this is what I was going to bring up. And for those of you who were watching me when I was on T3PO last Thursday, we were talking about how in Tokyo Disneyland, they're now charging for shows. If you want to see a show, you have to pay for it. You can get it through the Lightning Lane Premiere, but I mean, to me, you're already charging me to get into the park, and then you're charging, now granted this is optional, but you can do the lightning lanes, right? But you got to purchase your food and everything. I mean, there's so many costs that come along with going to Disneyland. And if they're going to start charging people for shows, I'm sorry, but I'm kind of out. And here's the thing. They were testing everyone last summer with Rogers the Musical, because what did they do? Oh, you want to sit in the middle? Yeah, you got to pay for that. Mm-hmm. I was like, what? That's crazy. $29 to sit in the middle? Are you kidding me? I mean, granted, it came with some perks, but I don't know that it was really worth it. But Cordy, you did it, right?
I did not. I tried, but they were sold out.
There's the problem.
See, and people are going to start doing that. And I don't know. I mean, obviously, I don't think they're going to charge for things like fireworks, but you never know. Maybe they will eventually. But if they're going to start,
if you haven't paid for fireworks, please do not look up.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, is you want to watch the fireworks from, because right now you can watch the fireworks from multiple locations, right, which is awesome. I mean, those prime locations, who knows, they're going to start saying, oh, if you want to stand in this section, because you're not sitting, you want to stand, now you got to pay for it. That to me would be just kind of crazy and ridiculous. I hope they don't go that extreme. And here's the thing, I kept telling you guys, over in Paris, they're doing the Lightning Lane premiere. I hope they don't do that over here. And where they do, they did it over here. And there's a good chance that they're testing it out in Tokyo to see how it goes. They can bring it over here. So I hope that's not the case, because I got to be honest with you, if they're going to start charging for shows, I wouldn't pay to go see the shows. It's just not worth it to me. They'd have to be a pretty darn good show.
Yeah. I mean, as it stands, Business Casual and Casual Junior, they're debating as to whether or not they're even going to renew their Magic Keys. They've priced it out. It's possibly not going to be worth it for them to get Magic Keys again.
Well, and that's the thing. I know when I'm talking to my wife right now, it's like, do I renew my daughter's pass? Obviously, I'm going to do it for me because I have the channel. I think you guys are too, because you have your channel. But I mean, it almost doesn't make sense to, keep paying all this money, and to be honest with you, it almost feels like we keep getting charged more for less. And to me, it's like, well, if you're going to start charging me more, are you going to get rid of those 2 weeks of blackout so I can come back? Because I do have the top line pass, but nope, that's not the case. So, and it's so disheartening when you see something like Knott's, Berry Farm. Now I know Knott's and SeaWorld and Universal are not, the same as Disney, but it's a theme park, and the fact that you can go there and pay $125 for the top line pass, for Knott's Berry Farm, and you get the water park and the regular park with no blackout dates, it's kind of like, that's a tough one to swallow. So more to come on what Disney's going to do.
So, I just couldn't believe it when I saw that it was standing room, a standing area. It's like,
and then they say, after picking up your food and drinks, guests can sit undercover or on the patio for a view of that too. Well, we could do that already.
Right, exactly.
And then we can
not anymore unless you pay.
That's my issue. Why are they not doing something, extra instead of, making it sound like, oh, we're giving you something extra? No, you're not. I can do that already.
And they're selling alcohol. You don't get anything.
Oh,
you don't
that's right.
get a cocktail with your dinner. No, it'll be available for purchase.
Well, you can go purchase and get a buzz. Too funny. Well, I know that we have spent a long time on the show tonight, and we need to get going. But real quick, if you guys have any questions, just throw a couple of questions in there. We'll answer a couple before we need to go, because I know Casual's got to get to bed early tonight. One question came
a little too late for that.
I have to do a presentation for work.
Early was about an hour ago.
All right. Well, real quick, Lauren asks a question: how come Tiana's keeps breaking down? Well, again, there's a lot of different reasons for Walt Disney World and probably for Disneyland. They have a new operating system, so obviously they're working out the kinks of that. I know that they're having problems with some of the sensors as the logs go by, and then obviously they've got the animatronics, which are amazing animatronics. They move and they're very lifelike, but they're not hydraulic. So over in Walt Disney World, they're having a big issue with, the condensation and the moisture affecting the, animatronics. And I don't know if that's happening here. I know Lewis wasn't working for me when I went on it. I don't know if any of the animatronic characters weren't working for you, Cordy, but, they're still working out the kinks at Disneyland. But Walt Disney World is constantly having issues every single day where the ride's only open for anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. Or less.
But and don't forget, this is the testing phase and training phase. So some of the breakdowns could be, completely on purpose. They could be saying, okay, we're going to shut it down, and you guys are going to have to go through an evac, so you know what to do when there's an evac. So that could be, if I was a manager, I would be doing that. I would be saying, okay, we're going to have, we're going to do a shutdown, and you're going to have to go pull everybody off the ride because you need to get trained on it. So that could be part of it, that, these are actual scheduled, breakdowns so that they can train on an evac with actual people and really dealing with, the public and having to get people out of the logs and walk them through and know how to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. Jenna said, isn't Tokyo Disney cheaper than our park? It actually is. Yes,
it is.
Mm-hmm. But they do get you some, like, if you want to use monorail, got to pay for it.
Mm.
Brian, yes, Small World Holiday is scheduled to open on 11/15. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I can't wait. They got it all boarded up right now.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay. Any other quick questions? I don't see anything else coming in. So I'm going to say we should probably call the show, but want to say thank you so much to our special guests for joining us tonight. It was a pleasure having Kevin, Joey, and Glow join us because that was amazing. And O'Brien said, what's the fireworks show? Oh, right now it's Mickey's Mixed Magic, but I don't know.
It will be, believe it in Holiday Magic will be the new one. Yeah. But it's also going to be, from Star Wars, you're going to get the Star Wars music. So,
right. But again, thank you guys for joining us tonight. If you haven't hit that like button, please hit the like button for us. And if you like the content and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. We definitely are trying to build our channel, and we're trying some new things. We've gone out in the parks to do some streams during the week, and we're going to try to continue doing some things like that for you guys. But in the meantime, thank you so much for your support. We really appreciate it. But before we go, let's go ahead and talk to Casual. So Casual, where can we find you and when are you going to stream next?
You can find me on YouTube, X, and Instagram, all of them at Theme Park Casual. I will be at the parks Wednesday night for the big race, the mini race edition, competing against our friends here, Bob and Cordy, trying to see who can complete the most rides in 4 hours. So we shall see. I believe we've got some little fun things that we can do during the race to throw people off their game a little bit. After that, I will be at Disneyland for Rope Drop on Saturday, and that will be my charity stream where we're raising funds for Operation Christmas Child and hopefully making it to where we can commission a new crazy hat from Miss Jen's Crochet.
Awesome.
Very cool. Awesome. That is so great. And Cordy, where can we find you and when are you streaming next?
I will be streaming Wednesday for the mini big race. Looking forward to that. I'm glad we're doing one. It was a tough one because the holidays, right? I had to squeeze that one in. So it's just a one night deal. And then I think we'll go back to our regular 3-day thing next year. But so I'll be there Wednesday. That's my schedule so far. I don't know when. And tomorrow I'll have the stream from home for the foodie guide. So we'll do that and then Wednesday at the park. But yeah, CORDY in California, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok. That's where you can find me.
Awesome. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to your foodie review tomorrow, so that'll be cool. And then obviously you guys can follow me at BarryPlays28 on YouTube, Instagram, X, Twitter. Oh, I say Twitter. I already said X, TikTok, and Facebook. And I will be streaming next on Wednesday as well, competing against Danny and Cordy for the first time. And I didn't get a chance to do the big race the first time. Unfortunately, my schedule, it didn't allow for my schedule, but this time I'm going to be there and I'm looking forward to participating in this. And I want to say thank you to Donnie Land for putting this together because I know he's worked really hard on doing that. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So definitely come out. By the way, if you guys are going to be watching us on the big race on Wednesday, definitely make sure you got a computer screen open with a bunch of tabs or you got your computer, your iPad, and your television on because it's going to be a lot of fun watching all the streamers do this race. So that's it. That's the only stream I have planned for the rest of this week at the moment. But I just want to say again, thank you so much for joining us. We had a great time tonight. It was so much hanging out with all of you. And we look forward to seeing you on the next Park Streamers Hangout. Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you, Mods.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed our amazing show tonight. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on the next Park Streamers Hangout. Have a good night, everyone.